Strange tales, oddball theories, off-topic stories. It's time for more tangents with Harry.
Speaking of Piss Cat, a long time ago, I did my internship, and they put me to do the internship at Tufts University School of Veterinary Medicine. And I was like working on my computer, and all you could smell was like formaldehyde, because like they would bring all kinds of like animals in with like issues, you know, like Clydesdales with like eating disorders, you know, or I think like you know, camels, you know, with like whatever one hump, whatever. You know, they're like a bison with cancer.
That's where he.
But anyway, I was working on my computer, and this nurse walked in. She was holding this cat, and she's like, "Hey Harry, like my cat?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." I was like kind of half paying attention. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, yeah." And she's like, "No, look at it." And she like turns around, and this cat had two faces. It was supposed to split into. It was supposed to split into two different cats, but it didn't make it that far. It had two working mouths, three eyes, with the eye in the middle was like in mid split. You know what I mean? It was like,
oh my god!
And it was so scary looking, you know. And I think it's the oldest living, or was, I don't know if they're still with us or if they're still with us, but it's the oldest living Janus cat, which means like
wow.
It's in the Guinness Book of World Records if you look it up, and they had two different names.
Sorry, I laughed so hard this stream. I'm dehydrated.
Sorry,
Harry, you kill me, dude. I love it. Mike, how about you? Do you have anything else that you want to
I'm working on a new book called The Anorexic Clydesdale. Really excited about that.
It was so scary. It was like a 10-foot tall horse, like with like all skin and bones. It was scary.
It's a horror.
This camel won't stop smoking.
Join us next time for more tangents with Harry.
What?
What? What? What?
What?
We've got mighty mascots! We've got mighty mascots!
You asked for it, so we delivered. The Mighty Mascots is now in demand on Indiegogo. Get your mascots today!
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I'm your host, Keith Gleason, creator of the Mighty Mascots and promoter for the Plastic City Comic Con. With me, as always, Johnny C., creator of Sartana, Surrounded by Death, and The Pond. For who, Johnny?
My good cousin, Roger Morocco, who might be out there watching today.
Absolutely. And our third co-host, Harry G., graphic artist extraordinaire. What is going on, fellas?
What's up, guys?
Not too much. Not too much. Been a fortnight.
It wasn't long since I last saw you.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
We had spent a full day together.
Crazy Saturday. Yep. So me and Johnny kind of double booked. I was telling Harry about a little bit about this. So we had the awesome Retro Expo on Saturday, which is run
Great
by
friends, Joe and Wendy's
Sousa.
Convention.
And actually, I'll tell you what I talked to him about too, Johnny, in a little bit. But then we also realized like Wednesday that, oh my God, Lucky Pro Wrestling is happening that same night. And we had already bought ringside tickets for everybody. So I was like, oh shit. And like, I hate doing stuff after conventions. Like, I just like want to go grab a bite to eat and go home, you know, and just watch TV all night or whatever. But I was like, I'll do it if everybody else wants to. And then I hit up Johnny and he did. And Amy obviously wanted to, and, you know, all our friends and everything. But yeah, it turned out pretty good. And then we just went to Applebee's right after. I mean, it was like a crazy long day, but we got through it.
Yeah, for sure.
Were you guys tabling it all, or were you guys there as just fans?
Yeah, we were both tabling. Johnny, you were invited as a guest, which was awesome.
Yeah.
That was cool. So Johnny was there as a guest, and I always do a table swap with Joe, who's the promoter there. So like I give him a free table at my show, and he always gives me a free table or a free space at his show. And I got to bring my own tables and stuff, but he always hooks me up. Like I'm literally right in the entrance there, and it's a great.
You got a great spot. Great spot.
It is like everybody has to see our stuff, and like the way Amy put the wall of prints, like they just got to see it as they're coming in, you know?
Yeah, you had what I had at IC3, and that worked to my advantage greatly.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that spot could be good, like killer. Like everybody has to go by you, and then they have to hit you on the way out too, you know? Like so.
Right.
That was the advantages of it.
How'd you guys do? Did you guys do good at the show, or
I did pretty good, Johnny. You I don't remember.
Let's not go down that road. Let's not go down that road.
All right, I'll scratch that off.
Let's not go down that road. Let's
Well,
get right over that one.
Yeah.
The show had probably a record number of people though, which was good for him because I talked to him for a little while.
Yeah,
and he's kind of like with me, like with the Plastic City thing. Like he was like, you know, it's like I got guests in the past, and he's like, I don't think it makes a difference. Like these people just are coming for a show, and I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of like getting to that on that boat with my show as well. Like
when you run a show consistently year after year, there's a point where you kind of hit legacy, and then it doesn't matter what's happening. People expect to come back to it like it's a holiday, like it's Thanksgiving. You know what I mean?
Used to it, right?
Exactly. So that's kind of, Super Mega Fest used to be very much like that, and still is kind of, but I would say to a lesser degree. That's not a slight on that show. I just think it's it's not the same. It's a different world now. But to that point, like if you have a show and you run it consistently, you're going to have that same audience come back. That's great for the person who runs the show. You know what I mean? It's great for the creator or the person who's showing up who has new content all the time, because then you're basically getting a fan base that's coming back consistently to see what you have new next. And as long as you bring something new to the table, you should have customers nonstop.
Yeah, 100%. I gotta agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Plus, it was a crappy rainy day too, so I mean, I'm sure that's why it drove people up. And also, Super Mega Fest. I mean, that has kept that's moved around a lot like the past few years. So it's not consistently in one place anymore. So that's probably what made it like hard to find and get to. Although, have they found a home now in that area?
I think they now live in that Westford location, but still, it's like, when they were in Framingham for the longest time, I think that's where it was like this built legacy show. And while they still brought in a ton of awesome celebrity guests, I think people just come back because it was a fun show. It was a legacy show.
Yeah, and I think we charted the downfall of them, like when they left the hotel, like it just never was the same. Like they're still around, they're still coming up, but like I think they lost a little bit of their power when they changed locations.
Right. And again, it's not a slight on the show.
Not a slight. I like that show very much.
It's just a commentary on how things went down, basically.
Yeah. And then like with us, we jumped locations a lot, but the thing that me and Amy and my social media team does well is we constantly are sending stuff out, promoting, we're putting signs everywhere, we're yard signs, we're doing everything to let people know where we are every year. So I think it's only helped us get in this hotel because I think it's just such a great location now. So hopefully we can keep our show there for the end of days, so.
Yeah. Well, again, you then now build a legacy show.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm almost sold out of tables, which is awesome.
Oh, that is awesome. That's great news.
Yeah. So just to talk about that for a minute, and then I'll bring, we'll start like bringing in the guests and everything tonight. But yeah, no, like I had a great call with Philip Kennedy Johnson this morning.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I don't want to it's 50-50 because we still have to
Don't jinx yourself.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
jinx yourself. Don't jinx yourself.
He's interested. Let's put it that way. He's interested
That's
in coming to
good.
the show, and
Yeah.
we just got to work out the details. So, and I got a couple other irons in the fire for really cool creators coming.
Tito Santana, is he coming?
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah. There's another pro wrestler though you might have that Harry might remember and know that he might like.
Yeah, I guess we could talk about this a little bit. So I was definitely eyeing Tito. The problem is I guess a lot of these guys now are up in their prices. Like, so Tito is almost double what he like. I heard 1,500 was his number. Now he's almost double that.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Yeah. So
this is explicitly because pro wrestling is quite hot again. Everybody's
that's
back
what it
on
is.
board.
Yeah.
And then now they're like, oh well, let's kind of squeeze now that the the market's there.
Sorry, Tito, you're only one half of Strike Force.
Yeah. So for a little, so I'm working with Lucky Pro Wrestling, the guy who runs Lucky Pro Wrestling, great guy named Jim, and then his buddy, I think his partner's Chris, and they're gonna bring in a couple, like TNA wrestlers, and one that used to be in the ECW and WWE on the lower. Nunzio, I think his name was, from he was part of the.
He was also known as FBI.
FBI, okay.
Full-blooded Italian.
Yeah, full-blooded. I guess that was a whole group of guys, I guess.
Yeah. And I was like, well, like there's NWO, LWO. These guys were FBI. So they're the Italian version of the NWO. If I remember correctly. I really wasn't watching around then.
Yeah,
but
nor was I.
Right. Now, actually, just to real kind of put a button on that, I was just like, I was talking to Brian, who came with us, who was with us for Retro Expo and for Lucky Pro on the way home. And we were kind of just talking about the state of pro wrestling at the moment. And I had mentioned at Retro Expo, or you had said at Retro Expo, that it was because of me, you started watching pro wrestling again.
Yeah.
and for me, it was because of Brian that I started watching pro wrestling again. So there was like this 3 generations of influence all kind of in the same. And I was telling Brian, I'm like, well, I feel like I'm lucky because I got back into it right before this big boom happened again.
Yeah.
So I kind of got to see like things get popular.
Yeah.
Like as I was getting reacquainted with it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that 100%, dude. I agree. I mean, I feel like it's like comics when you might leave them for a little while, but then eventually something will suck you back in, right?
Right. Yep. I can point to specifically where comics have done that for me,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's just to be said for any fandom, really.
I think so.
You know what I mean?
If you're into it, you might eventually come back to it at some point,
Right, exactly.
But before we bring in the guests tonight, let me just zip through the chat real quick. Couple people talking in the chat. We got Jess. Hey Jess.
Hey Jess. That's Jess from upstate New York.
Oh, hey, that's awesome.
I see you at Saratoga Comic Con all the time.
Thanks for watching. That's awesome that you're here. And we got what
that's
you
me.
Want. Hey, that's you. I gotta remember that's you. Of course, my wife is in the chat tonight, as always. Hey, Roger Morocco, president of
my good cousin. There he is. Love him. Love him to death.
John Bossy said it's because of the tariffs. Was that a reference to what was that a reference to? Like, what were we talking about? Probably when I was talking about the wrestling prices.
Yeah. Everything.
And then she said, give Beth credit. She took us to LPW. That's true. She kind of got me, Beth and my wife, for some reason, wanted to go to Lucky Pro Wrestling a couple of years ago, and that's kind of started the spark because I wasn't really into it.
Do a cross promotion between. I mean, you guys are pretty much friendly with Lucky Pro people. I mean, you've met them, right? Maybe you can have have some of them.
Yeah, they're going to be at the show. They're going to be at the show. They're going to run. So he's going to bring in the 3 wrestlers, and he's going to have the table next to them so that he can kind of manage the autograph stuff. And then He's just gonna give me a handful of autographed pictures after that are left over, that kind of thing. So it should be good.
They should do a spot on the floor. On the show floor.
Beth, you're welcome. Beth, glad you're here.
That's true. Beth did bring you guys to Lucky Pro. I think I kind of tipped it over the edge with AEW, though.
You did, because I think once I went to an AEW show with Amy that first time, I was like, yeah, this is great.
Business?
Yeah, big business.
Yeah.
That was great. And I didn't know everybody then, but now I feel like I'm kind of in the mix. Like I know the wrestler. And,
well, you can talk shop if fans start talking shop, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. So, but yeah, no, it's fun. I'm kind of glad I'm into it again. It's just a fun thing to watch.
It's a good time to be into it. That's why.
I think so. Yeah, I think the wrestlers are as exciting as the 80s used to be,
For sure. In a different way.
I don't know. I'm trying to get there. Yeah, I'm still stuck to the 80s. But I'll get there. I'll get there.
Johnny can take partial credit too.
Hey, remember when Beth tried to stab me this weekend?
Yeah.
Thanks, Beth.
And Jess said, has everyone been to AEW but me? Hello. Well, Harry hasn't, I don't think.
Jess and I are gonna go if I don't hear from Sam for Saratoga Comic-Con. We're gonna blow it off and go to New Jersey and go to Collision.
There you go. That's great. All right. Well, so I guess we should table our discussion till the end.
Absolutely.
And bring in the guests. So now this is a bunch of guys that I think I sent you guys the email, right? So our guests tonight are a bunch of guys that have been on the show before and a couple new ones, but they all got together to put their own publishing company together, like their own small press called Brewed Comics. And I know Dan Price has been on the show a handful of times from Bigfoot Knows Karate. And then Drew Lenhart has been on the show before, but I think he was under Snowy Works. I think that was his old company. And and I don't know the other two guys, but maybe we do. Yeah, we've interviewed so many people now. I can't even keep track anymore.
Right.
But let me start bringing these guys in, and then we'll see what's going on. And so
absolutely.
First one on my screen here is Dan Price. So let me bring Dan in. Hey, Dan.
Hey,
good to
Dan.
see you, man.
Fellas?
Hey, Dan, welcome back.
How y'all doing today, guys?
Oh, great, man. Let me bring the rest of your crew in, and then we'll
bring them in. Bring them in.
Good discussion here. This is Drew Lenhart. Hey, Drew. Good to see you, man.
Drew.
Yeah, you too. Long time, guys.
I know it's been a long time. And then this is it DR? Let me see. Is it Dr. My eyes are
Valencia.
Is it Dr. Valencia?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show, Doctor. Good to have you here.
Pleasure.
And then finally, we got Chris. What's up, Chris?
How's everybody doing tonight?
Good, man. It's not often we have a huge crew like this, so it's great to have all of you.
This is very
here.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for taking the time, guys.
Dude, thanks for having us on, guys. Johnny, Keith, Harry.
Absolutely. So I guess when we have a big crew like this, why don't we go around the room, introduce yourselves, tell us what you do, what comics you made, and then we'll go from there. So if whoever wants to start.
Let's go, Dennis.
Chris.
Me? Okay.
Chris, go first, man.
Yeah.
All right. Chris. I think I've been on here before. So this was originally Homebrewed Heroes up until this year when I brought Drew on. Started off as a way for me to publish my comic Crit, which is based off of a Dungeons and Dragons game my friends and I played. And in the last year or so, Drew and I started tossing around some ideas about working together more. January we rolled it out. February we brought in Dan, and then soon after that we brought in Dennis. And all of us have kind of been either working together or working alongside each other for the last few years. And my thought process was it's better to work together than work against each other.
You guys assembled like the Avengers. Is what
pretty much, yeah.
Or Voltron.
Yeah.
Or Voltron.
Or Voltron.
What did they say? We Voltron? What did the press release say? That we Voltron together or something like that? Yeah.
With our powers combined, we are Comics.
I love it.
so that's a big thing about indie. Is there a lot of people trying to do the same thing, and you can't always get everyone to work together. And we've all worked together individually throughout the years. And so when I was, I think at one point, and I might be talking for everybody here, we kind of felt a little bit burned out in our own circles. And so I will say in the last 2 months of working with these guys, it's been refreshing. We have weekly meetings. We're very organized, and I feel like we're actually working towards the same thing. So I can't wait to bring some of this stuff to the table for everybody.
Yeah, I'd love to hear. We'll get into the whole like how it all works and everything. I'd love to. I'd be fascinated to hear how you guys came together and what you do together and things like that. So yeah, Doctor, if you want to go next, and then we'll go to Drew and Dan.
Doctor.
Pleasure. Yeah, my name is Dennis, but yeah, I go Dr. Valencia. Designs, Team No Sleep. Worked with Chris for many years. Started Indie Comics about 5 years ago, and slowly plugged away. Last year, I did a lot of indie comic covers, and my main character is the Celestial Knight, and I'm doing a crossover with Drew, Caspian Porter, Celestial Knight crossover for Brewed Comics. I'll be honest with you, I dig that Voltron, lingo. I felt like Ringo, like I'm the fourth member of the Beatles, just joining in recently, but I'll take Voltron any day. I will say the fellas have been nothing but open arms. They bring so much to the table, and what drew me to these guys is professionalism. I've talked to a ton of creators, and you guys know when you go to these cons and you're talking to other creators, it's not just chasing your hobby or having fun. It is a business. There's a huge aspect that's a business, and these fellas bring and deliver. So pleasure to be on. John, I watched the show many times. Johnny, you're my favorite. I'm all about your vibe, Johnny.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Right on, man.
Awesome. Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that you watched the show. It's much appreciated, Dr.
That makes me feel like this isn't all in vain. People are actually watching.
No, I gotta admit too. I love having Johnny on because like I learned new stuff about Johnny on a weekly basis. That I'm just like it comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, what?
I think a lot of that's just being storied and traveled, right? Like I don't know. I get around, so I observe things.
Awesome. And Drew, if you want to go next.
Yeah. So my name's Drew Linhart. So yeah, you are correct. I was previously publishing under Snowy Works. When Chris and I got together late last year, like trying not to regurgitate too much what he said, but like I was at that point where like I was ready to like call it quits with comics, and then I got that call with Chris and like just like put that spark under me. So really happy to be on the team. I brought over a couple titles, Caspian Porter being one of them. I wrapped up that series a couple of years ago, so now we're doing the crossover, and then after that we'll figure out what's going on with him. But yeah, super excited. Like these guys, I talk to these guys every single day of the week, and like there's just so much going on here, so I'm really happy that we're doing this.
I like the approach that you guys are taking. It's like you've said that it's very like professionalism. You guys have thrown around already, and it sounds like it's very regimented with weekly meetings. And that's the thing too, when you go to these conventions and you meet other creators, it's like you kind of have that little bit of a litmus test. You say like, where's this guy's ego at? Right. And like, can I work with him or not? Or where's this at in that point? So I guess maybe so I can throw this out there. Where was that for you guys when you all met? Like kind of just gauging one another and getting acquainted with one another to the point where you could say, hey, I could work with these guys. Was there a particular moment or shift or something that you said, hey, like this is it? And, feel free, whoever wants to go first.
I'll jump in real quick if you don't mind.
Yeah. Dan, go ahead and introduce yourself
guys
too.
Oh, sure. Yeah, why not? Hey, I'm Dan Price. I do Bigfoot Knows Karate. I'm also now the director of marketing for Brewed Comics. And glad to be with these guys, man. I've been watching these three for years. Okay, for years. I've been watching them pump out quality comics. I've been watching their social media game and getting to know them. A couple of years ago, Chris and I did a live launch together for our campaigns at the exact same time. We did he was doing crit number 6 at the time.
It could have been. It was
some issue of crit and Bigfoot Knows Karate. We did the launch at the same time. And it was the thing that with Chris was I liked how his mind worked when it came to marketing. I liked how his mind worked when it came to getting the word out there for his book. He always has kick-ass ideas for his campaigns. I mean, the dude did an energy drink in his campaign, for crying out loud. That's amazing. Okay. And, things like that really stick with me. And so when we did the live launch, it was really successful for both of us. I think we both funded in 15 minutes. And, and had over 200 people watch our live that night on Instagram. So it was like I knew there was something there. And, Dennis and I have worked together in the past. He did a cover for Bigfoot Knows Karate Hennigan, and has done some other work for Bigfoot and, some other artwork and that sort of thing. That was awesome. Drew just puts out quality books. I mean, we've never worked together previously to this, but like his reputation stood strong. I've gotten to know him a bit before this. And, so it just made sense, watching all the people in indie comics moving around chaotically. We all have these dreams of what we want to put out there into the universe. I got the Bigfoot thing, Chris got Crit, Caspian Porter versus Celestial Knight. We all have these projects that we're working on. There's no point in doing it if it's going to be in a vacuum. You've got to get it out there into the universe. I mean, sure, you can have the artistic, love of the project, but if nobody's going to read it, what was really the point in the first place? And so Kickstarter has gotten us so far, right? Getting the book out there in distribution through, for independent comics. And now we're going to take it to another level by bringing all of our skill sets together to build something. You don't have to go it alone. You can take great people who know what they're doing and bring them together, and all be able to lean on each other in a way that you couldn't do on your own. I mean, we even, you guys know, because you've worked with Jeff Haas on getting people into the show. I've always worked with a PR person to help me do this stuff, because you can't do it by yourself. And now here we are as a group with our powers combined, like you said, Voltroned up or whatever it is. And we're all being able to use our skill sets, to push this and propel this forward. It's really awesome working with business-minded people who are also creative. It's a rarity. That's a unicorn. And, we found 4 of them. So that's pretty cool.
That's, yeah. I got to say, that is a unicorn, because you do not see a lot of business focused artists and writers. Like I've kind of come around to that line of thinking too. Like you have to be your own advocate, and to have all 4 of you together doing that is great. So I wonder, because I used to be part of when I used to do a web series called Hero Envy, I was a part of a conglomerate like this, where it was like 4 or 5 of us together. And the way we kind of did the meetings once a month and things like that. And when there was expenses coming up, like, do you guys share the cost of something? Like say, hey, we need to do this print run. Would all of you guys chip in for that? Is that how it kind of works? Or is it like everyone's kind of responsible for their own book?
Let me take this.
Yeah.
It is case by case, like Kickstarter and stuff. We're funding our books, so we should be able. But here's the thing about when we run a Kickstarter is every book that gets put out is our book. It's not just my book, not just Drew's book.
Gotcha.
It's our book. So we're all working towards that goal. When we do, right now we've got 3 Kickstarters back to back, and when we're planning our shows, there's a day I'm in California, I can't jump on one, and I'm promoting. I'm the headliner. I'm going first. Well, I guess I'm the opening act. Never mind. So I'm opening the show and I can't make it. So Dan's like, hey, I'll take this. And we know each other's books, so we can promote them. When it comes to like marketing, we literally, last night we just went on and we were discussing some of the marketing costs, figured it out. We all put the money in PayPal and we split it. The goal is to eventually, have a kitty fund that the brand can pay for some of this on its own, but it is teamwork. Whether it's raising funds or marketing costs. I know for a fact if one of these guys called and said, hey, like, I don't get paid till next week and my printing cost is this, can somebody float me? I got you. We're not going to let anybody on the ship sink. It is a unit. One thing I've noticed in some of the indie groups is it's a group by name, but not a group by culture. And this is a group culture. So we're all moving the same direction. When Drew and I sat down and talked about this before we even talked to Dan and Dennis, a homebrewed comic book is a homebrewed comic book. It doesn't matter whose it is. It's all ours. If that book doesn't do well, the whole brand is hurt. So, you know, hopefully we don't get to the point where we don't fund and we got to pay out of pocket for printing. Right. But if we get there, we'll cross that road when we get there. And I know, you know, speaking for myself and most of the other guys in here, we would chip in. These are the same guys that, you know, Dennis and I a while back had a buddy who needed some help with something. It was an iPad, if you remember correctly. I needed to ship an iPad. We split it 4 ways to ship this guy an art iPad because he was drawing on a phone.
Oh wow!
None of us shy away from helping each other. Now, you know, if one of us has some issues, let's just say we all live life, and you know, you got a house problem. Well, the other guys are going to be here to help you out in that moment because next year, when I have a car problem, we're all going to be jumping in to help me too. So,
sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to step on you there, but I was saying to hear you talk about this, I think back to all the collaborative deals I've worked out on comics I've worked on, right? And you guys seem to have perfected that across the 4 of you, which is pretty awesome. So, you know, kudos to that for sure.
Thank you.
Not to get topical, but I'm only bringing this up because somebody mentioned it at the top of the show with the whole tariffs thing going on. Is that going to affect you guys anyway? Because I know small businesses are hurting right now because of
I'm seeing a lot of panic in the indie circles. So, but I don't think anyone really knows anything yet, right? I mean, have you guys run into anything like that, or?
It is a little bit too soon to, but I don't think any of us do printing overseas. All our printing is done in the U.S. So, we're used to paying a little bit more, you know, because U.S. printing costs us a little bit more, but we save on the shipping and time. So I don't think and mark me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any of us are really going to have that issue at all.
Yeah, the only thing I could see happening there is if the supplies, like if they get the paper from somewhere else or, you know, things like that. So you're probably right, though. It's probably going to be fine. You know?
I worked in printing for a long time, and I do know most of, and I've been talking to my printers. I think we even actually had a discussion with the printer we're talking to right now about an exclusive deal. Everything they have is locally sourced as far as in the U.S.
Oh, perfect. So,
yeah.
I don't think we're going to have any issues. Now, where we might run into issues is like I've done stuffed animals, I've done figures, I've done those types of things.
Yeah.
The stuffed animal company I use, though, I think they were U.S. based. So I don't foresee any issues, but who knows? You know, in a year it could be different. Heck, in 6 months it could be different.
Yeah.
But for right now, everything we do is U.S. based.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. So you guys don't have to worry about that outside.
In some ways, that's a selling point for people too. So I mean, you can take pride in that for sure.
True. Drew and I have also been tossing around the idea of doing some printing. Like we found a short run printer that we're going to try and get running too for some of our, you know, short run books, not trying to do 500, 600 copies by ourselves, but, you know, and all that paper would be Amazon. So it's not that hard to get that shipped out to us.
Yeah. Awesome. No, that's great. I mean, I love the idea of this, like, and I feel like you're right. It is kind of an oddity in the indie circles. Like, cause I see a lot of indie people that, you know, talk to each other about projects and things like that, but I have not seen them go to this next step, which coming together as a team is really smart, I think, you know, and highlight. And are you guys trying to take your books to another level, like a distribution, like Diamond? Well, whatever Diamond, whatever happens
whatever shakes out there.
Yeah. I just saw today that the Alliance team is suing Diamond now. I don't know. It's nuts. The drama does not end in comics.
I think that came from the fact that Alliance didn't have any idea about comic books, and Diamond didn't want to sell to a company like that. And end of the day, there's already a dozen other distribution outlets the minute that Diamond said we're done. I think the community themselves have been waiting for Diamond to fail so they could do something new. We do have a distributor that we've started working with. They're one of those that have popped up. You know, I feel like we're hitting the ground running. So I want to partner with other groups and other companies that are kind of in our stage as well, so we can all grow together. Yeah. I think that's a healthy way of doing it. We're not going to be too big. They're not going to be too big. We're in the same spot. We grow together. We have that mutual respect, and we help each other along the way.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like, my big hope was, like, I don't know how far back you guys remember, but like early 2000s, there used to be a company called, I think it was Cold Cut Distribution, and all they did was distribute indie. And they had their claws in every store. And I remember, because I was working at the store at the time, and they used to call me every week to see if I needed indie stuff. And at the time, of course, it usually was only Johnny the Homicidal Maniac that was selling at the store, you know. So we would just be ordering that constantly. But like, and they eventually went out. But I was hoping like something like that would come along just to help indie people get their books in stores, and you know, or if somebody buys Diamond that's open to indie comics, you know.
I think what does buy Diamond is going to need to be open to indie comics, because indie comics is what's going to really build that company back up. The big guys have already signed new contracts. They're not going anywhere for a while. Indie, if you look at even how Kickstarter runs, we have a fan base. We have, you know, the ability to sell books. And one thing that really bothers me is when you talk to a distributor and they're like, oh, well, you sold X amount of books on Kickstarter, you're through. No, I didn't sell any books in your store. I didn't get to your customers because I'm not there. My reach is here, and I've utilized my reach. Let's partner and get in there. And that's what I like about some of these new distributors that are coming out, is they're working deals like, hey, let's do exclusive covers, or let's do special discounts.
Yeah,
we all have backgrounds in different areas. I worked in distribution. I worked on the board game side, but we crossed over with a lot of comic book stores. And luckily, I already have a lot of those contacts, and I know what they want, which is exclusives. And they want to make sure that we're on the shelf. That's the big scary thing about indie comics, and that's another reason why we stand out. The average indie creator doesn't get past book 2.
Yeah, you're right.
In the group is either past book 2 or about to launch their 3rd book. And that's a big deal. So we have the longevity, we have the history, and on top of that, we already have a lot of the know-how between all of us on how to do it. And keeping those books on shelves and having a release schedule is important. And we just actually finalized our release schedule of the year, and we have a book every month, if not 2 to 3. So
no kidding.
That's important to comic book stores, and that's what we've got a press kit that will go to all these stores as well, saying, hey, this is what we've got, and they're already done. These books are done. We don't have to worry about anything except for the printing. So pre-order them, get them on your shelf, be done with it, you know. And who knows, maybe if we have some cool retailers. Something I used to do when we did a project like this before, send them a t-shirt, some swag. You know, I worked at GameStop for a long time, and I will tell you, the employees there will push your product if you give them a free t-shirt or a free pin. The guys that work at those stores, you give them swag, they don't care. Okay, this is the best thing ever. I don't know if you remember the game Brink when it came out. They gave me a whole bunch of free stuff, and I told everybody it was great. And then, of course, it was garbage, and I got yelled at. But I did push it because they gave me a t-shirt.
Harry,
what do you think the worst swag is? Oh, no. There's like so many dumb things in my mind that.
He's like, let's skip over that one.
When you mentioned Cold Cuts distribution, whatever, I was at the deli earlier this week, and I was like ordering something, and somebody ordered some Genoa salami. I'm like, oh, it's got to be like a joke there somewhere. Like, I met a girl in an Italian city, you know, Genoa. No, anyway, it's a really stupid joke. There's a joke there somewhere. But I have a question about your for Chris. What was the energy drink part of this campaign? Like your homebrewed coffee, homebrewed publishing or whatever? Is that part of it?
No.
He had it on the show last time he was on, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'll show you. I got
the
3 cans left, actually. Hold on.
You think they're still good, Chris?
I'll fucking
How long ago was
I
this
don't
campaign?
Lasts forever.
Yeah, that's true. The stuff they put in that
that's
Just
good.
with a little bit of vodka.
Yeah.
It'll neutralize any
Oh,
problems.
yeah, hang on.
with it.
Let me blow you up here.
There you go.
Let me
Put it in front of your chest. There you go.
Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
there you
Yeah.
go. Now we can kind of see it. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
What year is
Yeah.
that?
This is only I did this 2 years ago. So they're still good.
No, it's like a wine. Like a fine
Yeah.
wine.
It's like a one.
Fermented, yeah.
I was actually I didn't have any energy drinks the other day, and I was like, let me see. I think I still have some that I just never opened that were mine. And I
That's
cracked
cool.
them open.
But is that where the brewed? Is that where the brewed part came from home brewed, or is that like is that
No.
always?
It actually came from homebrewed, as in like Dungeons and Dragons. So we homebrewed our own campaign, and that turned into the comic. And so originally it was Homebrewed Heroes, and then me and Drew were talking one day, and it became Homebrewed Comics, because homebrewed essentially means independent, and you can't take indie comics as such a broad term. So homebrewed fits really well.
Now you guys are all over the place, right? You're not in the same state or anything, right? You're just
Dennis and I are the closest. We're about an hour and a half apart.
okay.
Yeah,
Are you guys planning on doing conventions together, like all four of you as a group?
I'd love to. I'm trying to get out to Texas to see Dan. We just got to figure that out. I'm the only one that isn't married with kids, so I can travel.
Awesome.
Well, lucky for me, I'm actually I'm an empty nester these days, so my kids are. So it's like I have a little bit more freedom and flexibility than I used to as well. So yeah, hopefully I'll get Chris down here in Texas this year, and next year we got some plans we want to do for something bigger, as well. So, but Dennis and Chris are going to be at Heroes Con this year.
Yeah, we'll be at,
that'll be cool.
yeah. We did Heroes last year, and it was a blast. So this year, Chris and I will be doing that, and then Free Comic Book Day. Chris and I will also be teaming up at my local comic shop. So.
Oh, nice, very cool. Yeah, I've been wanting to go back to Heroes. Like I went like maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and I loved it. I love the vibe of that show a lot, and I just haven't been back for because traveling shows are a little tougher for me, especially like if I'm gonna lose money, I got to make sure I want to try maybe a different show that I haven't been at, that kind of thing,
Yeah, I did Heroes Con last year for the first time, and I can't go this year because of travel commitment for work. But that was an amazing convention. I mean, that really was an amazing convention. Just the artist alley itself, and and sales were good. I mean, people, I was at, you get the first year you're only allowed in they put you out in the outskirts, right?
Yeah,
you're out in aisle 100 or aisle 3 billion. It's like one or the other, and so the hustle had. Oh yeah, man, the hustle had to be strong. I mean, the hustle had to be strong, and it was like every day you went into battle and came out the other side still alive. You made it, and I loved Heroes Con. It was a blast. I'd go back this year if I could, but I will definitely be back in 26 for sure for that one because it's one of my favorite conventions for sure. It's like Baltimore, but it's very similar to Baltimore in that regard. It's a true comic show, but the artist alley is just even greater.
Yeah, I got to get to Baltimore one of these days. That's one on my bucket list to do at some point.
Great shows to connect with the rest of the comic community too. A lot of the creators congregate there, so meet like-minded individuals. Find other Avengers to assemble with, so to speak.
Nice,
right?
I do like the Homebrewed Comics logo too that you guys created. I think that came out great. You can see it behind Chris there a little bit, and how many titles do you guys currently have?
So, well, as of right now, we have 4 titles. So we've got Crit, Caspian Porter, Bigfoot Knows Karate, and Celestial Knight. We've got some other things kind of in the works. I'm not sure if we're quite ready to drop those yet, but there will be more.
And do you guys think so you guys came together as individual indie creators? would you guys ever bring in more people, or like is there plans to expand beyond the core group?
We want to focus on us for the first year, for sure. Making sure we have our game down strong. That we
build the foundation,
ironed out any,
right?
that we've ironed out any wrinkles. Fixed any problems along the way. But yeah, I mean, I know we've all talked about this. If there's a quality creator with a quality comic that has a consistent track record, like a proven track record, that will bring something to the table that's strong. Yeah, we're interested. There's a lot of amazing creators out there who have amazing books, but do they have all the pieces of the puzzle? To make you can have a great book, but if you don't know how to get it out there into the universe, that makes it really hard. If they have all the pieces of the puzzle, it's something that we're willing to work with. Strong work ethic. I mean, that's the thing about all of us. We're very committed. Our work ethic is strong. We really try and put the professionalism into the book, despite the fact that we all have full-time jobs. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're really working hard for that. And the people that we work with are strong. I mean, Chris's colorist, Luis, is incredible. I mean, he brings it every time. Casey Allen, you guys have interviewed Casey. Casey is a co-writer. He's incredible. Drew's team, Dennis, who's the guys that you'll have that you're working with on CK versus CP? I mean, the stuff that you guys did, the artwork in that and everything is so strong, Drew, Dennis. I mean,
yeah. Juan Fletes, he did all the Caspian books and a few other things for me as well.
Yeah, the Caspian books look great. It was one of the earliest books I reviewed, I think, on the channel years ago. Yeah, the art was great on those.
Yeah, thank you.
Like any good business, you guys are going to want to scale up anyway, right? So it'll naturally lead to that at that point. But of course, when you hire new people onto a company, there's the interview process. You want to vet them, of course. But I mean, naturally, that's what it'll come to as you guys grow and get bigger and bigger convention opportunities, bigger booths. Yeah. There's a really bright future ahead, guys.
Yeah.
It all sounds wicked exciting.
Wicked exciting. You are from the Northeast.
Yes, undeniably.
When I was in college, I was a frat boy in college, right? And one of my jobs was in the fraternity. I was the rush chairman. Okay, and you had to go get new guys into the chapter every year. Pledges and all that stuff. So that was one of my roles in the house over the years. And my attitude was always rush better than yourself. Go find somebody better than you to make this better. You know what I mean? And I think when it comes to recruitment for this, we're going to be looking for people who are going to going to help level up the brand. I think that's important.
And the other thing too, go ahead. I'm sorry.
When Drew and I originally talked about this, even prior to Dan, I was really adamant about, and Drew was as well, keeping it very close to the chest for the first little while, because we've got to figure out what works, how it works. Because if it can't work for 2 people, it can't work for 5, it can't work for 10. And the more people you have in, it's more of a drain. I came from music. I was actually signed to a subsidiary of Sony for a long time, and they started off indie roots before they got picked up by Sony, and I knew what that was like. I talked to that record label all the time when he first came out, and he said, I want quality and I want a small group, because you can't afford bigger books, you can't afford bigger bands. And it's the same with us. Like, if we had a big publisher that just wanted to jump on, well, how do we afford that? How do we get that distributed? How do we do all that? It's hard. And the same thing goes, how do we get a small person on? Because then we have to grow that brand. And how do we do that? Yeah. So the 4 of us were established. We know each other. We work well together already. Before we bring in a 5th or a 6th or however that works, we want to make sure our plans work, the process works, and we have a lot of the foundation. So when we bring someone on, we're not screwing ourselves and screwing them. And that's kind of where we're at with it. So We'll look at it next year. And I'm sure each of us have already had somebody that's like, hey, can you help me out with this? Can I publish this with you guys? I've had my inbox with like 3 or 4 people. Hey, can you help me out? Will I help you? I mean, I'll table some stuff. Like, I don't mind helping indie creators all day long. That's the joy of being an indie, is helping other people. Because when I started this, I didn't want to make comics. I actually just drew mine. I started drawing because I wanted to draw my Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I didn't even know what I was doing, and it turned into something so much more. So, and I'll be the first one to admit, I think every step along the way, I've messed up. I've screwed something up, and I've learned from it, and I want to give that to people. But that's how I want to do this, but in a smaller capacity, where if I screw up something, I've got these guys to say, hey, that's not going to work. Let's do it this way.
Yeah. And that's where like the compromises come in, like, yeah.
We have meetings all the time for that reason, is like, let's bounce ideas. Let's see how this is going to work as a group. And, I think we all work really well together. We haven't had any real disagreements. We've had some compromises here and there with some of the stuff, but like having the way it is, I think is what we want to stick with. And I've said this since day one. Anyone that wants to come in has to have they have to have that belt. They have to put a couple books out. They have to understand what running a Kickstarter looks like, because it's not easy. And like I said, nobody gets past book 2, or not. When they get past book 2, they understand the work that goes into it.
Yeah.
And comics is not lighthearted. You don't get in it to make money. You get in it to enjoy the passion. And
100%. And like, I was gonna say too, I think, but most publishers, if you submit a book, they have the same kind of criteria. They don't want, you know what I mean? They want people that know what they're doing. They want people, I think, like they even want like a strong social media. They want like a built-in audience already, So I think everything you guys are doing is reasonable, and and you have to hit certain levels, or else you don't even know if you like comics. You know what I mean? Like everybody wants to make a comic, but like, you just got to do it and then see if it's for you. Like, cause sometimes it isn't. Like everyone's got that, I'll make a comic and then Hollywood's going to come knocking on my door the next day. You know what I mean? Like, it's just doesn't work that way.
I think 20% of the guests that pass through this show kind of have that mentality secretly in their head. You know what I mean? But it's when you see
that's
the
not a
people
good thing to have, because I totally have that thought in my head. Hollywood will be here any minute, boys. Let's go. Can I just say one thing? I like that Chris said you have to have the belt. You have to have that belt, because I mean, I got my belt. I mean, you gotta have the belt. That's for sure. Anyway, I need to
Dan has the belt. He's in, right?
Is that the Indie World Championship belt? The
Bigfoot Nose Karate Championship belt.
Oh, very nice. Cool.
I remember that. I was jelly for that. I couldn't afford it at the time in the campaign. That thing's
You need
beautiful.
to get one.
I gotta get one.
Yeah.
I don't mean to brag, Johnny.
LL one in the background here.
Dr. Mass said Hollywood is coming to take your comic and completely rewrite it.
Yeah, destroy it. And change the story halfway through it.
Yeah, he ain't wrong. They make that paper. Come on, I'll be willing to listen at least. Come on.
Yeah, right.
Also,
Johnny.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to step on you guys. I was going to say, but if you look at the scenario here, I mean, Chris has been on before, Dan's been on before. You guys have stood the test of time. You've been back on the show. This hasn't beaten you down yet. So you guys are still going strong. That's most of it right there, is that you're still doing it. You're still going forward. You're not giving up.
Now, here's a question for you guys. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
It's like Rocky said, though. It's like Rocky said. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep on going. Yeah. That's Rocky Balboa, baby. You got to take that into account. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that was going to be my question. Like, like the old Jack Kirby adage about comics will break your heart. Have you guys had your hearts broken by comics? Yeah, we all have, right? Like, I mean,
Chris, you're waiting to say something. I got to hear it.
So I'm not shy about this. I didn't know how to draw when I started comics at all. I actually taught myself how to draw so I could do this. And the first book, which it was in a collected edition I did on a Kickstarter once, but other than that, it won't see the light of day. And it is what it is. It exists, and I'm happy. But to your point, I remember drawing that and going to my friends and going, "Oh, I could get this on Image Comics." Like, but I didn't know anything about comics. A friend of mine was like, "Oh, that's really good." It was garbage, and I'm not afraid to say that. I went back, I redid it, and then someone said, "Hey," because I couldn't color. I just knew I learned how to draw, but I was like, I put all my effort into drawing, didn't know how to color. And one of my D&D players said, "We'll just put it on Kickstarter." And literally, it was a Wayne's World moment. If you post it, they will come. They will just give you money to post it on Kickstarter. I had no idea what to do, and so I just read a couple articles. It said, ask for $2,500. I didn't need $2,500, but of course that'll help. Throw it up there. No promotion. I didn't even have an Instagram, nothing. Well, it raised like $500 or $700. It failed miserably. And I learned the hard way. Like, I didn't do my research. I didn't promote. I didn't do my marketing, which is sad because I went to school for marketing and I should have known a lot better, but I didn't. Luckily, a friend of mine, very independently wealthy, calls me from his private jet, sends me the money I need, and I'm here now. Every backer got a free book that was on the Kickstarter. I said, you believed in it when I didn't even know what I was doing. I'm just going to go ahead and send you one for free. Keep up with me. And a lot of those people are still around. So either the book is good or they just felt bad for me that I failed the first time and they've came back 8 times. But, to that point, I was that guy. I was that guy that said, hey, this could be something. And I got kicked down and I got kicked down again. And there are times that I'm like, man, I could get, I really want, and this is something I just want, that badge, that badge that says books we like. Kickstarter doesn't like me. I never get it. I no matter what I do, I've done a stuffed animal, I've done an energy drink, I've done action figures. The only thing I haven't done is, show my chest on a book. So maybe I need to do that. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
You just
need it worked for Rob Liefeld. Sorry, Harry.
That's okay.
It worked for Rob Liefeld with Calvin Klein jeans, right?
Everybody
bought Youngblood after that
when I was a kid. So maybe I'll dig out those 17-year-old me pictures somewhere and throw them up. But that's just the one thing I want. And one thing that a lot of creators, whether you're in comic books, music, anything, nothing good comes easy. You see the guys that come out in everything, that come out 100%. Swinging. They're great. They have a big following out the gate. They don't know what to do with it. I like the fact that we're small. I like the fact that we're all working towards getting bigger, because it doesn't come easy, and that those people that are with you through are the ones that are going to carry you. And if you come out and you have a big first book and everybody sees this, your first Kickstarter is huge because your friends, your family all want to back it. Everybody wants that first one. You come out with the second one and your mom's like, I already got the first one. Your uncle's like, that other one's sitting on my shelf. You're good. Now you've got to build that fan base. Yeah. And that's where the hard part comes in. And that's where we're at. We've all got established books, established titles, and we've established ourselves in individual areas. And now we're here to grow that through distribution. We talked about titles. Dan is head of marketing. Drew is in charge of all of our digital distribution, and I'm in charge of all of our physical distribution. So we all have a role to play. Dennis has just come on. We actually haven't really officially announced him. So this, I guess, is your official announcement, Dennis.
Oh, look at that.
Hey,
to the club,
Cheers.
Doctor.
Yes.
Cheers.
It's pretty much
we get to sit in, Johnny. We get to sit in on this HR meeting. All right.
So there's monthly drug tests, Doctor, just so you know.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
But we're talking about, a whatnot store and stuff for Dennis to do, because Dennis is great with the crowd, with the social media. One reason I won't do a Comic-Con without him is because if he's not at my table, I don't know what to say. This man can just stand there and people just want to come talk to him. And that's so great. When he does a live, when he does a show, when he's on whatever platform he's on, people just like talking to him. And that's something that you don't train. That's just an innate ability. And so we want to hone in on that and figure out what we can do with him there.
I need a cool media title. That's what I need.
Dr. Valencia.
There you go, Doctor.
The doctor is in.
Call him Dr. Valencia.
Yeah. But, that's everyone has a role.
The proctologist.
We take our role very seriously.
Maybe not. Sorry. What kind of doctor are you?
Yeah, you might get that a lot. Like what
Just
kind of
turn
doctor?
and cough.
Sure.
Bend over, think of Christmas.
Right.
I do like the whatnot idea. I hear that. I mean, I've never really gone into it, but I know a lot of people that are pretty successful on there.
Do you guys feel that this will add more work to your plate or less? This union.
Because more in a way. More in a way. I mean, honestly, but it's the work that needs to be done in order to get where we want to go.
Well, I guess
you
what I'm asking too is, will you still have time to do your own projects while you're doing all this? Or
Well, think about it this way: everything we're doing, Dan does the marketing. I used to do that for myself. I used to have to worry about my digital. I used to have to worry about my physical, and now we're all taking a different role. Now, do we all help out a little bit? Yes, but Dan sent out this thing the other day, said, hey, I need you guys to all fill this out real quick. But then he puts it together. I'm not over here making a press kit. I'm over here trying to negotiate a distribution deal and figure out what covers we're going to use. Drew's over here, sending us numbers from our digital platforms. I'm not doing that anymore. If we get the Whatnot store going, imagine trying to put out a book, managing all that, and then trying to run a Whatnot store on top of it, because that's a job by itself. So now, will there be more work? I think there's more directed work, yes. But overall, in the end, it'll be easier because we're focused. The hardest thing that I have is when I look at my plate and I'm like, man, I got to do this, 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 and this. Now I don't have to do that. I just have to do this. Dan's got the rest of this. Drew's got the rest of this. And now I can focus on my book over here.
Right.
To that point, you guys are more like Voltron than the Avengers, because Voltron can't operate with his arms or legs or his torso or whoever decides to form the head.
I like it.
I love it too, and I think you guys are doing it right too. You're growing, you're small, and you're not trying to grow too quick, which I think is always the death of a small business. Is the ones that go over. Extend their reach and don't have the foundation to keep it going, So I think you're smart by kind of huddling down as this one group and then see how everything works, see where the mistakes are, see where things can be improved and what can do better, things like that, and then of course the ever-changing landscape of comics is also going to be another challenge, because we don't honestly don't know what's going to change next week, so.
And the thing that we've said is stick to the plan. When we first got out the gate, I remember Drew and I would throw around new ideas. Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? And we'd say, add that to third quarter, add that to fourth quarter, because we already agreed this was the plan for this month and this was the plan for this month. Let's not screw the plan. And so indie comics may change, tariffs may change, whatever may change, we're going to stick to the plan, because that's the only way we're going to really get through half of it. And if you see what happens when people get reactionary, they fail.
We're trying, trying to do this as a group, launching 3 books over 3 months. That's pretty exciting in and of itself. And trying to get all of us using our resources, to push those campaigns out together, is fantastic. Being able to do podcasts like this where we're all, in here together, sharing our ideas with the public, is incredible. Having this opportunity is great. But, we're really trying to come up with new ways to get people excited about the comics differently. Maybe not new ways, but we're taking a little here and a little there to make it a little bit more exciting for the reader. An example, you mind if I talk about the coupon, guys?
I was hoping you would. That's your baby.
Yeah, I'm only wanting to talk about the coupon. Okay, so paint a picture here real quick, guys. Y'all remember when Image first popped and they had the coupons in the back of the book? You go and you put in the coupon, you get the coupon from Youngblood 0 or Spawn 2 or whatever there was, and you got all 7 coupons. And you put, and then when you mailed those coupons in with like $5 or $10 or whatever it was, and you got a copy of Image 0. Okay, and it had unique stories and stuff like that from the Image creators. Some of them were good, some of them were not good. I'm not getting into all that right now. But what I will say, it was a damn good idea. Okay, so we're playing off of that with our releases. So when Crit 8 pops in the end of this month, you're going to be able to get, when your book is shipped, you're going to get a coupon. Okay, and it's going to have a 3-digit code on the back of that book, or on that coupon. Then when Bigfoot Knows Karate ships, you're going to get another coupon. And that's going to be in May 14th is when we launch Bigfoot Knows Karate Chapter 3. When you get that book, it's going to have a coupon in it with another 3-digit code. And then when Celestial Knight versus Caspian Porter comes out, you're going to get the third coupon. When you get that, you're going to have now a 9-digit code that you can put into our website and now buy Homebrewed Zero. That is going to have short stories from all of the characters within the not Homebrewed universe, because we're not really I don't think we're really a shared universe, but from the Homebrewed creators. So you can get a taste of this and a taste of that, new things that we've never run in our books before, original material. So it's exciting. It's like a chase project with, a chase book, that's not on Kickstarter. It's going to be exclusive to the website. So trying something different that way, because we're all working in conjunction with each other anyway. So we might as well give the reader a little extra, as a thank you. Sure, it's going to cost you $1 or $2. Sorry, guys, but this ain't cheap. But it's going to be worth it. It's really going to be worth it to get that new Homebrewed Zero book. And that's the kind of things we're looking towards. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really fun for the reader because they have the chase, right? And then you guys, it's great and special for you guys because you're doing like this Dark Horse Presents of all of your stuff, and that's very cool. Very cool, guys.
Yeah, I like the I like the idea there. I think Valiant did the same thing, didn't they? With one of their books.
Did they? I know they did Unity Zero, and I knew they did like Rise Zero and stuff like that, but I didn't know.
There was like a mail away thing, I think, for it might have been for Magnus. Magnus, I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so they did a mail away thing where you had to get, I don't know, you mail a coupon and you would get Magnus Zero, I think. And awesome. I remember that, and I never did it because I was like, I don't want to cut up my comics, but some people, but that's how they get you to get 2 copies. That's the whole thing, Yeah. You get one to cut up and send away, and you keep the other one pristine, So it's good marketing, man.
Yeah, it's good marketing. Cut up our books, so
yeah, right. You won't have to cut the books up. Hey, that $10 you spent on that comic, gone. We're not going to do that. That's just mean, But we will, but we will include, a fluorescent pink, blue, or yellow, coupon in the back of the book, or in the bag, and then you guys can, key it in and go from there. So it should be pretty exciting.
I say have them cut it out of the book, right?
What did you say, Johnny?
Do it. No, do it. You know why? Because that separates who's actually doing the thing and not. So I say, fuck it. Have them cut it out of the book. Print it in. Why not?
Because fuck it. That's why, fuck right? No, man.
We're going to put a little disclaimer that was your idea.
Send them to my website and make sure they subscribe to Indie Comics Relay.
Johnny C. That's what we're going to say.
That's why I like Johnny.
You're Johnny
There you go.
Boom.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, before we let you guys go, because we have another guest coming in the next 5-10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Just go around the room, share your books, share the website, share the social media, anything you guys want to share.
Share the wealth.
Go for it.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to start because my Kickstarter launches first.
Okay.
April 30th. It's actually the 5-year anniversary of Crit and Homebrewed as a company. So this is our 5th year. We've got 9. This is our 9th issue for me and my team. And it's just a really big Kickstarter because I recolored and remastered issue 1, which is going to be available. I remastered issue 5 as well. So the opening and ending of chapter 1 has been remastered just for this Kickstarter. We're going to have metal copies. We're going to have exclusive covers. And also the next book, which is titled He Who Would Be King. That's all going to be in one Kickstarter. Coming April 30th. I am doing custom whiskey glasses because my cat Samedi in the book does drink whiskey. And so I was tossing around some ideas, and I've done energy drinks. I've done the stuffed cat. I've done action figures. I was like, I've never done a rocks glass, you know? So, and I was thinking back to the old McDonald's days when actually it was a Val Kilmer day. When Batman was in theaters, they had the Batman mugs, and I collected them all.
I have that full set.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing 4 different glasses, and the tiers will get them, and you can collect all 4 if you'd like as add-ons, but every tier will have a different one, and it will have either the cat or King Arthur and the logo. So that is going to be on the Kickstarter coming April 30th, launching at 8:00 at night. We're going to do a live launch, and you can go to homebrewedcomics.com. I'm going to make it real easy for everybody, where our links are right on the front page for all of our Kickstarters, all of our information. We're trying to streamline everything moving forward, so you don't have to go to Kickstarter and search Crit. Everything will be on the website all the time. Thanks to Drew, because that's his job.
Yeah, perfect.
Good work, Drew.
So April 30th,
on, Drew.
the launch page is up. Go to homebrewedcomics.com, click the link, sign up. And I'll pass it to, actually, Dan goes next.
Okay. Well, the book is called Bigfoot Knows Karate. We got chapter 3, Hellhound on My Trail, coming to Kickstarter live on May 14th, 7 p.m. We will be doing a live Instagram launch that night, so please come out and check that out. If you are on the Facebook, go look up events for Bigfoot Knows Karate launch party. You can go do that and join, get notified for all of that stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, we've got Bigfoot 3. Go to homebrewedcomics.com. The link to the notification page is right there for you. Thank you to everybody who's hit the notification button already. Truly appreciate that. And I'm going to kick it over to these guys over here so they can talk up CK versus CP.
Take it, Drew.
Cool. Thanks. Sure. Our project is Celestial Knight versus Caspian Porter, and we are launching on June 21st. It's a really interesting way for our characters that exist in 2 different universes to cross over. The story actually takes place in the timeline of my first issue, so it's really kind of interesting how we layered that in. So yeah, pretty cool. We got a couple different covers options available. I know Chris is going to do a cover for us as well, and Dennis is showing actually the ash can that we came out with, which is also available on our website. So
very cool.
Yeah, like everyone said, homebrewedcomics.com. It's got everything laid out there for you, really easy to see, really easy to get to.
Yeah, super stoked to launch this, like Drew said, June 21st. I'll actually be at Heroes, so there's a good chance, Chris, we'll be dropping this at Heroes doing this Kickstarter. So see how we work that out. We'll figure it out. But super excited to do the crossover, get these 2 characters, kind of build that universe in that homebrew universe. So super excited just to be part of these the team and be just contribute something to this team and really see what we can do moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, all you guys have great heads on your shoulders. I see nothing but this being successful. So good luck with everything, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you,
and
Keith,
I think
Johnny, Harry.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is all very exciting. So I really hope to have you guys come back on soon through the phases of everything. So that way we can kind of see the progress and follow along.
Well, I'm actually talking to Jeff too. I think some of you guys are going to come back like different times by like singly or something, right? Like
Dan.
Yeah,
So,
I think Chris and Dan are scheduled, but Drew and Dr. Valencia, if you guys want to come on, get on the schedule. The show's a little different now because we try to schedule multiple guests rather than
That's awesome.
throw them all on the same screen and hope everyone can get a word in. So, but yeah, no, I think that'd be great, and then we can chart the progress of Homebrewed Comics and your books, and I think you guys. I know I've read I've read some of the Caspian Porter, and I know I've read some of the Bigfoot Knows Karate. I have not read Crit or Celestial Knight, so I'll have to try to get caught up on those at some point.
Chris, you want to tell them what Crit stands for? I like the acronym.
Constantly running into trouble.
I like that.
It's pretty cool.
So if you play Dungeons and Dragons, you know exactly where that comes from. Yeah, if you want, on our website, homebrewedcomics.com, issue 0 is a free download.
Oh, that's cool. That's good to know. Awesome.
So you need to get the T-shirt. So you got to get the Crypt T-shirt.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, there you go.
Dr.
See,
Valencia,
that's how I can tell you're not in it for yourself, Dan. You know, you're wearing the other guy's T-shirt. I love it. I love it.
Dr. Valencia, I've got your marketing gimmick. When you're at the convention behind the table, just wear a doctor's coat with a name tag.
I gotta have like a rubber glove and just like snap it as people walk by.
And then they
That's
have
the book. I want to buy
the
the body cavity search book. Yeah.
Just tell them that don't worry if they're holding a copy of Celestial Night, it's completely medicinal.
It could be like a tier in the Kickstarter, like a free exam.
and have a urinal cup, but make sure it's apple juice, not urine.
Well done, fellas. Well done.
Actually, you can even have a prescription pad there. You can write prescriptions for comics, like go pick up this comic. And
that's actually not that bad of an idea.
It's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad. You refer people over to your friends. I prescribe you to go to this booth to check out this book. That's genius, Keith. Look at that.
You got to pull the whole Christopher Walken. I got an illness, and the cure is more Celestial Night.
Yes,
yes, I love it.
Well, with
well
that,
done, gentlemen.
That's a great place to end it. Yeah. So, guys, I wish you the best of luck with this, and I look forward to having you on in the future and see where things are heading and hear the stories. So, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Everybody, check out Homebrewed Comics. Go to their website and get notified on all their Kickstarters coming up and back these guys. They put out quality work.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck, guys.
Have a great night, guys.
Jimmy Gaspero, if you're in the green room right now, hello. All right, anyway, that's it. All right.
Awesome.
Everybody knows the Yeti.
Guys. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a great night and good to see you.
Too.
Bye, guys.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Chris, you can hang out if you want.
Oh, I was going to ask him a question.
Yeah.
I had a million.
What an
questions.
ambitious thing these guys are taking on, but I admire all of it. I think that's really cool that they're coming together like that. I wish I could collaborate with friends that well. You know what I mean? So I really admire all those guys.
Well, right here, there's a little trio right here.
Right.
Well, of course.
That's,
I mean, of course, yeah, he is. But I mean, like they have it down locked. Weekly meetings. They're treating it like a genuine business. Like that's really cool what those guys are doing.
Absolutely.
In a weird way, in a silly way, it's kind of like where I like collaboration, superhero movies and cartoons, because every hero has their own specialty, and thing that they're good at, So I love seeing them, like maybe this guy can't get through that door for some reason, but this guy can, and all working together. It's so cool how everything.
It's like G.I. Joe.
Yeah,
they all have their own specialty.
Yeah, everyone was a specialty,
Yeah, exactly.
Dr. Mass said all of Johnny's books have the Marvel stamps cut out of them.
I say, why not? Right? That's just my perspective. Why not make it so that you have to actually cut a page out of the book? I mean, if that's what the printed page is meant for, do it. Because then it's an indie book, number one. Number two, so what's there to lose, really?
Yeah.
Number two, if they really bothers them, they'll buy another one. Number three, if the person's actually gonna take the effort to do that, then you have a fan for life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or at least for the length of the book.
And great no sleeps, a great time, fellas. Honored.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Loved having you guys on.
Yeah, so their next guest is he's been in the business for a while too, right? Like,
yep.
How do you know him, Johnny? Have you met?
I don't think we've met in person, to my recollection, but I've done a lot of shows. But we were in the same Twitter group for a while. That lasted throughout COVID and until I got hacked and I lost that account. Now I'm no longer part of that group. But he's spent a long time reviewing other people's books.
Okay.
And now he's finally got his own product coming out. So, it's real nice to be able to have him come on and finally give him the platform to shine a light on his work. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I've heard of him. I know I've heard of the review site and, but I've never met him, never crossed paths with him anywhere. So it'd be nice to get to know him here. So, all right, without further ado, let's bring in tonight's second guest, Jimmy Gaspero. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going?
Nice.
How's it going?
Good.
How's it going?
Nice to meet
Good, how are
you,
you?
man.
Yeah, nice to meet everybody as well. Johnny, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, hi
Taking the
Keith, hi
time.
Harry. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
Hey, how
I
are
really
you?
appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What part of the world are
Jimmy,
you
and,
in?
I'm in Delaware.
Oh,
nice.
Delaware.
Yeah, I grew up in Delaware County, which we'll probably get into because the name of the project is called Made in Delco. But I was made in Delco, Delaware County, PA, right outside of Philly. I live and work in Wilmington, Delaware now, though.
Oh, no
But,
kidding.
yeah.
Awesome. So Jimmy, like when we have like a single guest on, I always love to know what that spark was with comics. Like, what was the one comic that kind of blew your mind? Like when you read and you're like, I gotta do reviews. You know what I mean? I gotta be part of this industry. Can you pinpoint that moment back?
Yeah,
in your,
it was probably because I was liked comics like a lot of people when I was younger, and then got away from them for years, like high school and college and law school. And when I got back into comics, I was playing catch up a lot, because there was a ton of stuff that I had missed during, that period of time, like most of the 90s and the early 2000s. So, but honestly, the first comic that I read that really made me want to do something with in comics and kind of be part of that little club was probably King and Walta's Vision. Like when I read when I read the Marvel Vision series, I didn't think I'd read anything like that in terms of comic books. And
that's the one where he has the family, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
That was a very cerebral book.
It was.
Yeah.
But then after getting into more indie comics, there were so many. I'm a huge Cullen Bunn fan, and I mean Cullen's one of the most, I think, prolific comic book writers writing right now. And there's so many things. Like when I first tackled, and I say tackled because it's such a hefty tome. When you get I borrowed the library editions of Harrow County, Cullen and Tyler Crook's work, and it's just it's incredible in the amount of back matter. And it just made me excited to think, I'd love to do this. But I mean, I have no artistic ability whatsoever. So I would, I started out small, I was on Twitter and I would read comics and then send out little tweets about them and I really like this. This is what I'm reading. And it was Matt Ligeti, who started Comic Book Yeti, who had reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to start reviewing comics.
Oh, okay. Oh, so that wasn't you that started I thought it was your baby.
Oh no, well, I mean, I'm very protective of it now, but
nice.
Yeah, Matt
you were kind of there in the ground floor, weren't you? Though a little bit.
Yeah, Matt started it, I think, in 2018, and had kind of been doing his own thing for maybe 2 or 3 years, and then a couple of other people joined to start helping out doing reviews, and then I moved over into written interviews, and I kind of really tried to build that up. And then when Byron O'Neill came along, who took over for Matt, and Byron is now the editor-in-chief. Byron wanted to start a podcast, so I started helping him with that. So we have the Cryptid Creator Corner, which is our podcast, which we've been doing that for over 3 years. We have about, I'd say, 330 episodes.
Oh, wow.
Covering mostly indie comics. We've branched out a little bit into some big 2 creators, but mainly we're still an indie comics podcast. But just reviewing comics, talking about them online. And then once I started doing the podcast, really made me want to create comics. So I started off small with pitching to anthologies here and there. And, sometimes I'd get a pitch rejected, but if I really liked it, I'd work on the script and still hire an artist. And that's kind of how Made in Delco came about, because I had a few short comics that were published in different anthologies, but I had 6 or so that weren't, that were just sitting on a Google Drive. So I thought, well, no better time than right now, because I have about 10 stories. It's 60 pages. And I decided to put my own anthology together. I hired my friend Heather Vaughn, who is a wonderful artist in Philadelphia, to do the cover, and put it on Kickstarter. We're already funded, and
I saw that, man.
moving
Congrats,
right along.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, it's really exciting. When you, I mean, and you guys probably know, like I love comics. Like it's when I have any bit of downtime, and I got married, I got 2 kids, and I'm a personal injury attorney in Delaware. And so when you have any bit of downtime, there's so many things that you could do. And I want to sit and I want to like read comics or talk about comics. It's just what I love. And I want to be part of that like club, so to feel like I'm making something and maybe a little bit putting my toe a little bit,
I love it, man.
a little bit more into that, into the water of the comic book club.
Good. Yeah.
I really love it, and folks have been really nice about it. The folks that I've sent the previews of the stories to, some of the friends that I've made online have been very nice about it and said some nice things. And it's been a very, very exciting week or so that the campaign has been live. So yeah,
awesome.
It's a beautiful thing because you're only feeding back into what you've loved for so long, right? You're paying back a little bit, and you're doing it through your creative spirit, and that's just awesome, man. That's really cool.
Well, thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've always loved stories, and I always loved telling them. I always like collecting them. That's the question I like to ask people. Like, what's your story, or tell me your story. Like, what's going on? I love talking to people. It's one of the things I love about my job. I do get to talk a lot.
That's the question that we always ask too. Keith's asked, from the very start, we ask, what's your origin story? How'd you get into comics or whatever? So
yeah,
everyone has a story.
Sure.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And I love telling them, and like with the podcast that we have with the Cryptid Creator Corner, like that's what I like to get at. You can be a storyteller that sits at the pub and tells a story and is great, or telling a story amongst your friends, but to tell a story in a way that you put it out there in the world, whether or not you're writing a book or a comic or a script, I think takes a certain amount of bravery, and a certain amount, maybe not arrogance, but a confidence that somebody else is going to want to read it. And it could be the most poignant work in the world. It could be just for pure entertainment. But I always like to ask folks, like, well, why do you want to tell stories? Why do you want to do that? And why comics? Like, you could tell it in any way. Do you have a story that only works in the comics medium? Are you a writer and an artist? Like, what is the reason? Because I love comics.
It's kind of a challenge too to tell a story in like a finite way. You know what I mean? It challenges you to like fit the entire story in like a few pages and a few, blocks. Like there's so much to tell, but you put the most important things within the pages of the comic. That you want to tell.
Yeah, like how to break that script down to
and do it
24 pages
and do it economically. You know what I mean?
Like, right.
At least amount of space. It's kind of cool. It's a challenge.
And I love that challenge about it. I think it was either Kevin Cuff or Bob France who do Metal Shark Bros, and they recently did Skeeters with I think Mad Cave. I heard them on another podcast or like YouTube show talking about comics, and saying when you watch a movie and it's cinematic, and I'm gonna screw up what I think it was Bob that said it. I'm gonna screw it up, but it was very beautiful about how he was talking about in terms of a movie and watching all the action unfold. But to think with a comic, you have to take what is maybe a scene that's a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and you have to figure out where you're going to pause that camera, and you have to infuse whatever the action is, or whatever the dialogue is, or whatever the tone is, or emotion in that one panel. And that's tough to do.
It is.
And when you're a writer and working with an artist and that collaboration works and it clicks and it makes sense, I can't get enough of it, guys.
Well,
I'm with you, man.
We brought up Val Kilmer tonight, like Tombstone, like it's probably one of my top 5 favorite movies ever. They took
me too.
They took like a 2-minute incident at the Battle of the OK Corral, and they made a 2-hour movie out of it. It's like awesome, like just the whole. I mean, based on a true story, and I think I mean, obviously Val Kilmer stole the whole movie. He was that character was awesome. I think my favorite scene was probably the cup scene in the bar, in the saloon. He's like twirling these like cups, and like
yeah.
That's awesome.
Is that the one where he's got a Thomas Hayden Church is from Wings is across from him?
I think so. Yeah, I think
that's what it is.
Right.
Because they have
It's been a while
showdown.
since I've seen it.
Yeah. I love that interaction. They have that showdown later on. Where,
I was only kidding. I wasn't.
Hayden Church says, "Oh, it's the drunk piano player. He's probably seeing double." And Val, as Doc Holliday goes, "Well, it's a good thing I got 2 guns, one for each of you."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
So good. Amazing movie.
Man. I gotta see that again.
Well written dialogue.
Yeah.
But even to your point though about working with collaboratively with an artist, it's artists see things writers don't, writers see things artists don't, right? When you find the right
100%,
person
that
you have trust in, and you guys can bounce back and forth, and there's nothing you have to kind of worry about in terms of whatever the case may be, working by committee or whatever the case may be. That's beautiful. It's good that when you have that, and you can grow that, that's when you can notice, you can see it in the final product. It becomes that much more special.
Oh, absolutely. And that's because I'm not an artist. I rely a ton on the folks that I collaborate with who are artists, and it's always amazing to me. Like, I never get tired of it. I mean, you've probably had a million people on the show say the same thing. Like, when you're a writer and you get art in that your inbox, and someone has taken what you have written and has now processed it, and it has now come out through their artistic vision and through their lens.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. Yeah. It's great.
I love it when it's a new artist you're working with for the first time, and you're like not quite sure what you're gonna get, and then you see it and you're like, oh my god, it's great.
It's a good feeling.
Stuff.
Yeah,
I gotta ask, since you're a lawyer, was Daredevil your favorite character?
I was gonna bring that up actually. I mean, it's gotta be.
I'm a big Daredevil fan. Yeah.
Nice.
I say I've said this before with my friends, and I've not read a ton of Marvel comics, but I know most of my Marvel knowledge comes because I was a trading card kid. I still have a full, I think 1991 Marvel trading card
those are
set.
Great. Yeah, those are awesome.
I think it's behind me in the basement here on one of the shelves. But I had not read a lot of Marvel comics, but man, I knew every one of those cards, every one of their, power sets from the back of it. But yeah, Matt Murdock being an attorney is, I do love that. I always look for the characters who are superheroes who are
have
who
that
are
same
attorneys.
kind of job, or
I'm a big She-Hulk fan as well.
I was gonna say, who do you like better, Daredevil or She-Hulk, though?
I don't know. That's tough. I think it depends on who's writing the character.
For sure.
That's true.
Because Charles Soule is also, an attorney. I really liked his run.
That's
on
right.
She-Hulk.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I always
think there's still a possibility.
Go ahead, Harry. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, not to derail the show and talk about Daredevil, but the one thing I always was struck when I first found out about that character, I love the idea of him. He was so unique to anything else Marvel had. To have this blind hero that could do this amazing stuff, and then he's a lawyer on top of that. And then the other thing I always love about Daredevil, he gets the shit kicked out of him. He can take a beating like no other hero can. Just awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely. Especially when you think about some of the characters that have in terms of their abilities, it's tied into their strength or invulnerability. And Daredevil has his power from it, because he was blind, he was blinded, but he's just like a guy. He gets the absolute crap knocked out of him. Also,
human endurance still.
I also grew up Catholic, so there's that other connection.
Yeah, he's such a unique, different character from all the other Marvel ones. Like he stands out like big time.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
you know.
Most comics avoid church and state, especially during that era. But here comes this one little book.
Oh, Daredevil leans into that.
Leans
hard.
super into it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the whole thing with his father being a boxer, and then the whole thing with the kitchen, Hell's Kitchen. It's just such a unique book. Like it's just such a unique corner of Marvel that
the city's a character onto
itself.
I
find it fascinating. Like,
no,
absolutely.
Well,
so, but that's a for
digress.
Daredevil episode.
Well, we should pivot more to your project, Jimmy. So,
thank you.
I mean, you talked a little bit about it. But I don't know. Can you give us a little bit more like the elevator pitch, or kind of bring people on board to get a better understanding of what the story is?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It's a little tough to describe getting into it. I called it Made in Delco because essentially I was made in Delco, and I wrote the 10 stories. In terms of genres, it's all over the place. A lot of these were stories that I had pitched to an anthology. 3 of them have been printed in other anthologies over the past 3 years, and the other, I think, 7 have never been in print before. Nice. So I think I have like a little bit of everything. The first comic I ever had published was in By Visibility, and I have a story called LGBTQ RPG. It's about 2 friends who play D&D, and their characters in game are like each other, and it sparks some real world feelings.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I like that.
I have another.
Like I have a player one.
Yeah, kind of. I have another one called The Unfortunate Consequences of Being a Time Traveler, which Sam Owen did the art, Ben Humeniuk did the colors, Michael Myers lettered. It's probably my favorite, but my second favorite story in the collection. It's a bit of a 6-page like horror, and really about my feelings of fear of dementia, because I have a family history of it, and so it's a bit heavy in terms of inspiration or subject matter, but I think it's a neat 6-page horror story.
It's James Tynion and like Scott Snyder always say like that makes the best stories too, like putting your fear into something tangible in a story that you can use to entertain people. Like you see it in their work all the time, especially with Tynion with the Department of Truth and and World Tree, like his fear of the internet and the fear of government and all that stuff. It's great stuff. Like, but it also is a good fodder for comics. Like,
oh, absolutely. Scott Snyder's talked about it before. I mean, his and Jock's Witches. I think I read that Scott talked about how that was kind of, a bit inspired by his fears over like becoming a parent, and was he going to be a good dad and stuff like that. And Witches is one of my favorite horror comic books.
And I can't wait for that animated series to come out.
Me neither.
Cannot wait.
Yeah. So I have a fun kind of fantasy story called Barbarian about a trained barbarian who would rather be a bard. Raymond Lolocker did the art for that, and just did a phenomenal job. That's the only kind of black and white story in there. I have another story with Joe Kovis called The Engineer of the Circling Zoo, which is kind of a B-movie Twilight Zone 4-pager about a little robot, and he's maintaining a very particular zoo. I don't want to kind of give it away, but and then I have probably the most personal story in it is called It's Not Just a Meatball, and is a story about my father's meatball recipe. And so that was one of the ones that was published previously in an anthology called Comics from the Kitchen. So it's a 5-page story. Each page is set like a little snapshot of a different decade. It goes from 69 when my dad was about 12 years old, 79, 89, 99, and then jumps to 2019. Every page shows a little scene of my dad, and that the page also has another part of the recipe. And it's kind of just about, the importance of food, the importance of family. I will include the recipe as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So just like with Comics from the Kitchen, I'll have the recipe in here as well.
Oh, great.
But it's kind of it's a very kind of personal story. It's the most autobiographical. My dad's meatball recipe is very like central and important to our family and family get-togethers. Plus the fun of comics is that I was able to do a little bit of a dream sequence in it where my dad imagines he's telling my daughter, his granddaughter, a story about having to protect the recipe from bad guys, and he is in like a Bruce Lee like jumpsuit with nunchucks because like my dad would break out into like true story, like as a kid my dad would break out into spontaneous like nunchuck demonstrations because he was like such a Bruce Lee fan. So I was like, oh well, I have to include something like that. James Greatorex, who worked,
did he whack you with him by accident a few times, or?
He's hit himself before, but he managed to never hit any of us, which was great.
That's good.
So not typically trained, he would just mess around.
Oh yeah, no, he not typically trained. He always said he was he always said he had a black belt, and I thought that meant he like was a black belt. It wasn't until like I was like fully an adult that I found out he just like bought a gi and a black belt.
That's actually one of my jokes that I like to tell people. Like I tell people whenever I hear somebody say, "Oh, I'm taking karate," I'm like, "Well, that's cool." I went from a white belt to a black belt in 3 weeks. Like, how? Like how? Like I never washed my belt.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, these stories sound awesome, Jimmy. Like, so you basically have just written like anthology kind of stories. Have you done a full comic like on its like a full like 24 page script or anything, or has it just been the anthology stuff?
The answer to that is yes and no.
Okay.
So it hasn't been announced yet, but
okay.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll be hearing more about it next year. But
okay.
Last year, 2024, I wrote like a 115 page graphic novel.
Oh, sweet, man.
So I've never written a 22 to 24 page comic. The most I've written is a 10 page short, and I've written a 115 page graphic novel.
Okay.
So the next, I learned the lesson early on when folks say start small, and I did that. Started small, tried to did a 4 page short, a 6 page, an 8, a 10, but then I missed the next part where I just went right to graphic novel. So
yeah,
so I'm going to tackle that middle part and do like more of a standard issue. Hopefully.
But at least you got your feet wet. Like I gotta say, at least you got your feet wet, because most people will start with the graphic novel before they do the anthology stuff. So I think it's great that you at least realized I got to try small first. Got to start small.
That was the goal, to start small, like everybody said. But an opportunity came along that I kind of couldn't pass up, and so
gotcha.
I, just carved out as much time as I possibly could and got it done. And we're working on it, and hopefully you'll hear more about it maybe towards the end of this year. So
awesome.
Nice. We'll have to have you back on for when that's ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Johnny,
100%.
Looked like you were going to say something.
I think I was, but I think it was a previous thought we've moved on from. So let's not backtrack at all.
Oh, gotcha.
I was going to say though, I did read all of the stories that you supplied us with. They're all good and different from each other.
Thank you, Harry.
Yeah. And how many hosts are part of the your
Cryptid Creator Corner, the podcast?
Right. Yeah. I know one other person that I heard a quick clip of. What was his name? Byron O'Neill.
Yeah, Byron O'Neill. So Byron took over for Matt. Byron's the editor-in-chief of Comic Book Yeti now, and the podcast was Byron's idea. Byron edits. So it's just Byron and I, but we don't host together.
Oh, okay.
We kind of just handle our own episodes. Byron does edit everything. He does like a ton of work to get the podcast out. We usually release 2 episodes a week. My episodes come out on Tuesdays, Byron's on Fridays.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we just with trying to Byron and I have very different schedules. So if we were going to try and do the 2 of us like with a guest, it would be nearly impossible. So we just figured we say we're co-hosts, but you know, we both host it in our own capacity. We take care of our own scheduling and our own.
Do you guys both cover different topics, or?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Byron's done like a ton of different stuff. Like he's run a theater, and he's a photographer, and he's been a roadie, and he's had like a ton of different jobs. Like every time Byron somebody brings up a topic, Byron says he used to do it for at least a summer. Yeah. And since Byron is a photographer, he has like a much better sense of the artistic side of comics, and his episodes I think are more maybe detailed oriented. By that I mean probably prepared. I have a tendency to write out some questions and some points, and then just like at a deposition, I will take off and just do my own thing and just go on. I've never followed one of my at work. I've never followed one of my own like deposition outlines. I can't stick to it. Somebody will say something, and I'll just want to follow it up and go on from there. And as long as I, make all the points that I need to make, I'm usually.
So you pretty much interrogate your guests.
Honestly, in the beginning, when I first started doing the podcast, that's what it was like. It was like I was doing, because like when you do certain depositions, you can, lead a witness, and you can just say, So Harry, you do stuff with Indie Comics Relay, correct? And you do this, and I'm like, oh, I'm acting like I'm in a deposition. I need to chill out.
Please, Jimmy just throwing narc vibes out there.
Yeah. And the whole time I'm putting on a glove doesn't fit. Like it's not. That was for some reason randomly.
Yeah. So I had to kind of, find my own way and find my own voice in terms of the podcast and asking, guest questions. But it's been great. I love it. I can count on one hand I've recorded of my own about 180 episodes over the past 3 years. Wow. And I would say there are less than 5 guests where I thought it was kind of like pulling teeth, where it was kind of tough, for the most part, I've been extraordinarily lucky where I've had great guests, whether or not it's somebody like Cullen Bunn, who's been on a couple of times, who does a ton of podcasts and a ton of promotion and knows how to do it. Or it's, I have people on like you guys having me on. It's like somebody's first Kickstarter or, their first comic. And, it's just been great. Just talk about comics and talk about wherever the conversation goes.
That's awesome, man.
Is there an origin? Comic book?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Harry.
Go ahead,
no, I was going to say, is there an origin behind the whole Comic Book Yeti thing? Is it like why cryptids? Is it like?
Well, I think Comic Book Yeti was because Matt just wanted something to rhyme with his name, and his last name was Ligeti.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
I think it was like Matt Ligeti, the Comic Book Yeti. And,
okay.
And then when we were trying to come up with a name for the podcast, Byron came up with the Cryptid Creator Corner. 1, because of Yeti is a cryptid, and 2, because the alliterative nature
the
of
theme
book.
kind of.
Matt Murdock and Peter Parker, and
right.
So we kept it all. In
I was going to say, I do love the logo. You guys have T-shirts with that logo. I mean, it's a pretty cool logo. The Yeti.
Yeah, I think we do. Mean, we have like the plain Yeti one, but every year Byron has had somebody else do like a different logo. So last year he had artist and writer Norm Conyu do the logo. We have T-shirts with that,
this image
Yeti silhouette. And then I think it was Jeremy Brooks who did this year's logo for the website, which is that one there, the yellow in the background. That's that's this year's logo for the podcast.
I like it. It's very indie.
Cool.
I love it.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, thank you. But I think it was Jeremy Brooks who did it. I want to make sure I get right.
But
yeah,
are you guys just audio, or do you also have like a YouTube component like we do?
Yeah, but the podcast always goes out wherever you can stream a podcast. But yeah, Byron, as long as the guest doesn't have a problem with video, Byron tries to get them out on YouTube as well.
Oh, cool.
But we kind of focus on the podcast aspect of it. But yeah, we do have someone on YouTube as well. So
one of these days we'll have that other component, because like we're the opposite. We have the YouTube component, but not the audio podcast side of it. Although YouTube lists us as a podcast, so I don't know if there's some kind of. Does YouTube have a like an audio?
I don't think it does.
Thing? Yeah,
well, it might. I'm not too sure.
It might. Yeah, it might.
Yeah,
I don't know. But anyways, yeah, that's really cool though. I like that, Jimmy. Go ahead, Johnny.
I was just gonna say, can we pull up the campaign just so we can share that with people?
Yeah. Let's
have them take
definitely.
a closer look. And Jimmy, I was just gonna say, is there a campaign tier that's pretty special that you want to share with people, or kind of shine a little bit of a spotlight on, so people could take a closer look and kind of capitalize on it while it's available? I love that coffee cup right there, by the way. That's awesome.
Yeah, so Heather Vaughn did the cover, and I gave her a couple of different ideas, and then she came up with this kind of all on her own, which is her. For anyone on the in my neck of the woods, this was Heather Vaughn's ode to like Wawa, and
okay, yeah. I've been known to visit a couple Wawas in my day. I love that place.
I was going to say that we did have a tier. Joe Kovas, who's the artist on two of the stories, the engineer of the Circling Zoo, and one of the 8-page stories, It's a Monster Kind of Love, had a commission tier where we had 5 slots for you could get a commission from Joe and a physical copy of the book. But I think they're all backed. So I was
it's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Great.
I was excited about that. Excited for Joe. But yeah, it's been great working with different artists. This story here that you just stopped your dust on now, Keith, that was one that was like a failed pitch to an anthology that they wanted to mix Greek mythology and like crime stories. It was Limit Break. They're out of Dublin,
weird.
and the pitch was rejected, which was, it's fine. You got to get used to rejection in this, but I really liked my story idea, and I was going to work with Rachel Allen Everett, and it's called 7 Against Philly. So it was like a 4-page story that mixed Aeschylus's 7 Against Thebes with the Second Philadelphia Mob War in 1981. So
I love it, man.
Yeah,
this looks great too. The artwork's good, and
beautiful artwork there.
It got
Rachel's phenomenal,
rejected.
And Harry Saxon colored it, and I think that was Buddy Bedoin that lettered it for us.
Oh, it looks great, man.
Yeah, and then the last
all these
story...
look good though. I didn't get a chance to read them, Jimmy, but I did look through the
Oh, there's me.
The
look at that handsome devil over there.
Yeah, look at that handsome guy with the Comic Book Yeti shirt.
That's what really brings the people in, guys.
Yeah.
The moneymaker,
Oh, I like this one too. That's a great image.
Yeah, Norm Conyu did that logo.
That's so cool. But I did look through the preview PDF that you sent me, and yeah, all the stories look great, man.
Oh, thank you.
They look like they're professionally put together. You know what I mean? They still have the indie feel to them and everything, but they look good. Like, you sometimes you get like an indie book that looks a little sloppy or a little out there, but none of your stuff looks that way. It looks really nice, and it looks I got to sit down and read it at one of these points when I get a free minute.
Oh, well, I'd love to know what you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
This story here that you just passed, The Fear Endures, that's the other 8-pager, but that's the one that Byron and I wrote that together. And once the anthology is out, it'll be Byron's first comic that he's ever worked on. And Chris Sheehan, who's the artist from The Autumnal, and I think Vault's Denizen and Specs with David Boer. Chris Sheehan did the artwork on that. Roland Cownans colored it, and Rob Jones lettered it. Rob Jones is a phenomenal letterer. So really excited for folks to see that one.
Yeah, I love the art. I love the colors on this one, especially.
Yeah, Roland's did a phenomenal job.
The red's really like show you what's happening there, and great stuff. These all look great, man. But yeah, let me look at the tiers.
That was kind of creepy. That story there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You read all of these, right, Harry?
Yeah,
Did you have a
yeah.
favorite?
That's what I was saying. They're all different. Yeah, good. Yeah, but this one's kind of like.
Did you have a favorite that stood out to you?
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, I like things that are like sci-fi, science fiction-ish. I like the sea story, the sea serpent and whatnot.
Yeah.
But there's like a show that I watch on the Travel Channel, and it's like, it's called Caught on Camera, or it's like these weird things that happen in real life, like we think. So we think, people capture like a ghost or something hiding behind a tree, like a cryptid or something, but it's so freakishly real, and that woman with the hollowed out eyes and mouth there was a like a newborn baby born to his family, and the grandmother had passed away, and then like the baby's like playing, talking to something off to the side, and then the camera backs away a little bit, and you see the grandmother holding or next to the baby, like the ghostly apparition of the grandmother. I'm like, holy shit! Like I watched this show at night, and I get like goosebumps. I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, is it is it really? Is it happening? Like if it's real, I would have like crapped your pants. That's how scared I would have been. Like, but I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel, but she looked much like that illustration of that woman with the hollowed out.
Yeah, unfortunate consequences of being a time traveler. Yeah. Sam Owen did that artwork. He did a great job.
Yeah, I like the artwork there too.
She looks like cool Betty White.
Look.
Yeah. It's like Betty White came back from the.
Yeah, it's a little ghostly Betty White. I mean, I hope folks like that. There's a little something for everybody, and there's a lot of different artists work in there, whether or not it's the artist or the colorist or the letterer. So,
what kind of stories do you like? Do you like sci-fi type things, or what kind of things do you gravitate towards?
I mean, in terms of the stuff that I like to like read or watch, science fiction has always been my favorite. I mean, time travel is like my genre. I think I've seen most time travel movies out there. There's a book about time travel, comics about time travel. There was the Declan Shalvey and Time Before Time. I thought that was a great.
I never read that one.
Comic
but
book.
I like Declan Shalvey, so I have to seek that one out.
Yeah. So
Land of the Lost.
Land of the Lost is great.
Will Ferrell.
I like that movie. Yeah, it was great.
I watched the original Land of the Lost back in the day. Like
the remake movie was fun with Will Ferrell. I had a blast with that.
Yeah, it was Danny McBride was in it, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah, it was great.
And I think
the best use of time travel I saw in comics was Animal Man back when Grant Morrison was writing it. I always loved how he did that. I don't know if you ever read the early ones that he did, where he set up one weird issue where something's happening, and then you don't realize until, I don't know, a handful of issues later that it was a time travel thing. But it was just thrown in there so casually, like I was just like marveled that he had figured all that out, my young brain blown, when I was reading that.
Yeah. No, I don't think I've ever read that one. I'm gonna have to check. I'm gonna have to track that.
Yeah, Animal Man was a great run. Like the Morrison stuff, the early stuff there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of other time travel comics that I enjoyed, and none of them are coming to mind. I kind of like the one, was it the Chrononauts that Millar did a while ago? That one was kind of fun.
Yeah, with wasn't that with Sean Gordon Murphy?
Yeah. Where they were just like assholes traveling through time.
Yeah, there's like two jerks who could
exactly,
like
fucking things up, and it was great.
Yeah, that was a good bit, and it's like I think it's just a 4-issue series, like the first run of it. So it's
it was
really
just
digestible. It's like it's really good.
I was trying to look at my shelf because I met a creator at C2E2 a couple of years back, and he had this really just awesome book about just this guy that his future self comes back to warn him, and it just the way it spirals out. I forget the name of it. I wish I had it handy, but same thing, just really awesome, inspiring time travel story. And comics is such a fun way where you can tell that and you can mess with that, you know. You know, almost the same function as like Memento, where you know it goes backwards. You know, same thing.
Yeah,
comics, you can fuck with that, you know.
Yeah. And, well, and the fun thing about comics is like, you know, there's certain things you can do if you're, you know, writing a narrative, like a prose novel, or if you're doing a TV show or a movie. It makes it a little bit trickier in comics. But then when you kind of figure it out, like, well, like, how are we going to do it? Is it going to, you know, how are we going to delineate the time periods? Like, you could just put a caption, right? But to figure out a way to do it, to maybe even surprise the audience, like the reader, like, can I do it in the panels? Can I in the paneling or the panel borders? Can I do it with the coloring? Like
the word balloon, like like fun little things, that
I can kind of like figure out how to tell the story in a creative way. So yeah, but time travel's always been my favorite, and there's a couple good time travel comics out there. So
yeah, that's good stuff.
Now, did you have a personal favorite for the campaign? You actually said the meatball story, right? Would you say is the personal favorite?
That's probably my favorite, just because it's the most personal. In that regard, I really like the work that James Greatorex did. But in terms of fun, I think my favorite is probably It's a Monster Kind of Love, only because I think that's my brother's favorite, and my brother Bobby and I you know, go to Baltimore Comic-Con every year. We kind of, you know, really like got back into comics at around the same time again. And we talk about comics, and like, I get we have one pull list, and I pick everything up from our local shop, and he'll come over my house and we'll divvy up our comics like we're still kids, even though we're like 46 and 42. But
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. I love that, dude.
When we moved to our parents' house into our own houses, we wanted to figure out a way to still like hang out and get together, and so we started watching the show Supernatural. Like, we'd get together and we'd watch Supernatural. So when I did It's a Monster Kind of Love, which was kind of inspired by something that I talked about with the TV show Supernatural.
It's my favorite show of all time, Jimmy.
Is
I
it
can't
really?
Shut up about it. Like, I watch the TNT replays every morning.
Well,
like, I must have watched it maybe like this is my 7th time through. I love it that much, Jimmy. I'm a little bit nuts. So please, I need to know what part of Supernatural inspired you right now. This is dope.
Sometimes they would have an episode where there would be a monster of the week that they were going to kill, and the monster really didn't do anything like that bad. And unless it was like a close personal connection, which, you know, spoiler alert for a show is off the air, but one of their friends becomes a werewolf, and they're like, oh, well, he's okay, because he's a werewolf that doesn't kill anybody. But any other time there was a monster, just because it was a monster, sometimes they would kill it. And I felt that they never went hard enough into like the moral ambiguity. I mean, I guess that was a lot to ask for a CW show, but I'm a fan. I watched every episode. So I came up with a story idea with a character who is kind of doesn't like that her family, she's a family of monster hunters, and she doesn't like that they just keep killing monsters indiscriminately. So she kind of turns on them a bit and falls for one of the surviving monsters.
I remember that.
It's a love story essentially, but I and it's not safe for work. Joe Kovis is the artist, did a phenomenal job. But I sent it to my brother when we first finished the art and the letters on it. And the text I got back was horny supernatural. So I was like, I felt like I think that's the highest compliment of my work I've ever gotten, that my brother thought this 8-page story, he calls it horny supernatural. So I'm super excited.
She seemed to go for that monster pretty easily. Pretty readily.
Yeah. Well, he's a good-looking monster. What can I say?
Right.
So Supernatural was on the mind as you were writing that?
Or I mean, it's 15 seasons. It's always in there, Johnny.
Right on. And then just to follow up on that, are you a Sam guy or a Dean guy?
Oh, I'm the older brother. I'm a Dean guy.
Right on. Well, I think what it is, Jimmy, is that we all see Dean the way we all see Han Solo. Right? Yeah. It's I think it was the movie 500 Days of Summer where he has this moment where he looks in the reflection and he sees Han. It's like, we want to see that in ourselves a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think same thing for Dean, right?
Yep. I think that's 100%. But but I was as the older brother of my brother and I naturally gravitated to Dean. So
right on.
Big Supernatural fan, Johnny. So I'm right there with you.
Right on, man. Nice. Well, we'll have to bullshit about some Supernatural later on. Directly.
Yeah, we don't want to turn this into kid. We don't want to turn this into the Supernatural cast.
Yeah. No, the other thing I thought of when I first looked at your Kickstarter, Jimmy, was like, the Made in Delco thing reminded me so much of like the early works of like Jeff Lemire, like Essex County, or you know what I mean, like that kind of vibe, like that slice of life kind of thing. And like I was like, I love this. Like it just has that feel to it. Like, is Jeff Lemire like one of your favorites as well? Or
I mean, Essex County, Sweet Tooth, Royal City.
I love that one. And then most recently, like Phantom Road and
Phantom Road is great. Minor Arcana.
Yeah, I love that book. And then did you read the Fish Flies miniseries? That was really good too.
I haven't read that yet. No. Underwater Welder.
Yeah, that's an awesome one too.
That's another.
All his early stuff, like that he did Nobody and it was a Nobody, the one he did for DC. But yeah, that stuff he's one of my favorite creators of all time, and I love his artwork. It's so indie, but it's always got like this watercolor look to it, and like I don't know, there's something about it. There's no other artist out there like him, that looks like that. So I just love it. His storytelling's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And when you see something, it's his work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm dying for a streaming service to actually bring Essex County here so we could watch it. I know it was like unique to Canada as like a six-part series or something, but I'm always checking occasionally to see if Hulu or somebody got Essex County, because I feel like we're being deprived.
Yeah, I would love to watch that. That
Me
would
too.
be great.
Because I love that book so much. But but that's what it reminded me of. So compliments to you on that. It reminded me a lot of like something Jeff Lemire would make, so.
Well, that's high praise indeed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Man, I'm really excited for folks to, to get, I mean, we still have some time left in the campaign, but I am looking forward to, getting to the end and for folks to finally have the book in their hands, because it's everything's done, all the stories are done, but we'll see, depending on where we go. If we make it to, I think it's like around $2,300 right now. If we make it to 3,000, I have another script for like a 4-page horror. I've reached out to an artist that I haven't worked with before, but I really love their work. So I haven't announced.
Add a story.
Yeah, I haven't said it yet, but I'll say it here that if we get to $3,000, I'm going to add another 4-page story to the comic book. So it'll be a total of 64 pages. It'll be 11 stories, but I have another story written, and I have an artist that I've sent the script to. And so if we get to $3,000, we'll have another story in the book. So it might be a little bit of a delay, but you'll be very happy with it.
Exclusive for you people,
right there. I need like exclusive music.
Get that book over.
I love that too, because that's the kind of tiers I love personally on crowdfunding campaigns. I want more book. I don't want like stickers. I don't want bookmarks. I want more comic. So like that's right up my alley.
Or at least something that's like useful, not like a koozie. What's a koozie? Like I never used one ever. Like it's the worst. It's the worst you can ever have.
Put that in my next campaign. What are you talking about, Harry?
if you do a koozie, it should look like Bob Cousy, from the Boston Celtics. You know what I mean? That's the only koozie I would buy.
Real quick, I want to show Johnny something. If I am I able to share my screen?
Yeah, go for it.
Please.
Let me see. Hang on. Let me see if I can. Let me know when you. All right, hang on. All right, here we go.
Did that work?
Oh yeah.
Can you zoom in a little bit, Jimmy?
Look at that.
Is that's
you and your bro?
That's my brother and I and some guy that was there at Baltimore Comic-Con with one of the cars from Supernatural. And
yeah, I've seen that car a couple times at shows.
Yeah,
it's almost like you guys aren't trying to cosplay, I'm assuming, but you all both are kind of playing the parts naturally right there.
They had the car there, and then they had actual like outfits from this show. And you could,
that's awesome.
You could put the jacket on or Sam's flannel and take a picture with this guy that looked a whole lot like Bobby Singer in front of the car. And as soon as my brother saw it, he was like, "Oh, we're doing that."
That's so awesome.
No, I'm only mentioning this because of you said like WB and like Supernatural was on there. But you ever watch what's his name on Smallville, the older brother?
Oh yeah, when Jensen Ackles was on
Smallville. Yeah, he was on there for like a season or two, but it was
To me, those actors don't exist in anything else except for Supernatural. I don't like to break kayfabe.
I know, right? Yeah.
Now they're all on The Boys.
They're all. That's true. That is true.
And a lot of people from Smallville too. All the B people are on there. Like no, not The Boys. I was thinking of what's that other show? The Hero show. The Titans. A lot of the Titans, like Aquaman was Hawk, I think his name was, or
the Teen
Titans show. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
they all find like other superhero roles to play. Yeah, some other universe.
It was like Jack Reacher too, isn't he?
Oh,
yes.
Is that
the guy who Alan Ritchson, who played Aquaman on Smallville, is now now Reacher. Yeah.
It's Jack Reacher. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Charmed, Supernatural, Buffy, and Supernatural, and another one. Smallville. They all kind of remixed actors. Like they spent a little time over here, then they jumped to this show, and then they jumped to that show, and X, Y, and Z.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan on
exactly.
The guy is
exactly.
What was he on too? He was on that other
on
movie.
Dead and...
What's that other superhero show? That's kind of like DC.
He was in Watchmen.
Dr. Manhattan. Watchmen.
Yeah, he's in Watchmen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
he gets. Yeah.
So Jimmy, I don't know if it's too early to think ahead here, but are you planning on queuing up something else after this campaign's over to kind of keep up momentum, or are you just more worried about getting this one out there?
I want to. So that's what I'll say. I have like another story idea, another artist in mind that would be more of like either a normal, like a regular size 22 issue comic book, or maybe slightly higher and like do a one shot. So that would hopefully be my next goal. But I'm still working on the script for that. So yeah, we'll see. That would be my plan to do something else and try and keep momentum going and either just go back to Kickstarter or maybe try and, pitch it somewhere. So we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Does the day job get in the way of this, or?
I mean, it's just hard to find the time or to make the time. Right. That's the thing. Like you want to do something, you have to make the time. So I have like when I was writing last year, I kind of had a system where I would take some time Saturday morning, usually before the family got too active, and I write things out. I have a bunch of spiral notebooks and I write things out by hand. And then Sunday morning I'd get up the next day, and what I wrote the day before I would type into my laptop, and kind of that would be my first pass. I would edit from my notebook into my laptop. And then that's what I did. Every Saturday morning I'd find an hour or two to write by hand, and Sunday mornings for an hour or two, and that's how I did it.
Right on, man. Great, Jimmy. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, no, dude, I think this campaign looks great. I pasted the link into the chat for you guys to check it out.
Awesome. Thank you.
If you're watching this tomorrow, it's the link to the campaign is in the description of the video, so check that out. I would recommend it if you love anthologies, if you love slice of life weird sci-fi dramas and like all
If you
kinds
love
of stuff in
meatballs.
there.
If you love meatballs,
Who doesn't love
there you go.
meatballs? Come on.
Yeah, right.
Right, really.
And the recipe will be included, right?
You
The
will, yeah.
recipe.
You'll get my dad's meatball recipe, and they're.
Now, was it a
Yeah.
good meatball? Was it actually?
I mean,
you
they're
guys
my
had-
they're my favorite meatballs, and I mean,
Okay.
I've
Okay.
eaten a lot of meatballs. Like this is
All right.
body. This is body by meatball.
This too.
That was my nickname in high school was Meatball.
Well, there you
but
go.
they're my favorite. They're my favorite meatballs. They're not too mushy. They're not too dense. There's just something about them. Other
Okay.
people have tried the recipe and they've never quite like replicated it. But
Okay.
a few folks
Is
have
it
reached
like
out
one
to
of
me and
those
they have.
recipes where it's like, oh, you throw this much stuff in, and it's just like there's not even like a measurement. It's like like you just throw this much in. It's like that. You know what I mean?
No, he has his measurements down. He's got
Okay.
his measurements down. I think part of the reason is that he also makes his own sauce, and so it's the combination of cooking the meatballs in the oven and then letting him finish off in his sauce. So I think that's like the difference when I've had somebody else try the recipe. But
Jimmy,
they're my favorite meatball.
Jimmy, thank you for calling it sauce and not gravy.
You're welcome.
I can't stand it when people call it gravy.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not a fan.
and I didn't expect to get here, but here we are.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
that's
you're
just what we
Italian
called it.
American, right? You're
Right.
Italian
Well,
American. Yeah.
My dad is Italian. My mom's mainly like Irish and English, but yeah.
Okay.
Oh my
so
God, mine too.
What part of Italy? Because now we're gonna get into meatballs and regions and things, and we need to get. I want to get a little bit specific here. If you know, do you know what part of Italy he's from?
Yeah, the Italian side of my family. My grandfather was born in the U.S., but my great grandfather was born in Italy. They were from in around Naples.
Oh, okay. Do you know specifically around Naples? That's where my family's from.
I don't know any more specific than that.
Oh,
Sorry.
right on. Now,
I was so hoping. I was so hoping you'd say Genoa. I was hoping you would say Genoa.
Did you make a salami reference?
I'm like, you know that girl from Genoa?
Oh, that's right. So, to that next point, I was going to try to make is the meatballs when you cook them, baked, fried, or in the sauce. How's it done?
With my dad's recipe, they're baked first and finished in the sauce.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. I think that's the
how I do it,
Neapolitan
too.
way.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I gotta find out what part of Italy my mother's family's from too. Like, I'd like to know that. Just so I can get cred with Johnny.
Yeah.
I gotta get cred with Johnny.
My
I'm the only
family's out of
non-Italian here.
my family's
But we're
out
neighbors,
of
though. We're neighbors.
Squalani is the region my mother's from, the village, and it's
Oh, wow.
it's about an hour or so south of Naples. And so it's mountains. It's all mountains. You could look in the balcony and go, I want to go there. And you could look to every place you want to go to. So it's beautiful there and you absorb the culture. And actually, speaking of meatballs and this, just hearing about your story and your experience with your father and the kind of honoring the culture, my mom's village, and every part of Italy has festivals throughout all of August. And they're all for every patron saint. And they all, during these festivals, have like specific food items that they all cook. My mom's village is a pasta called cuculel, which is like basically like you take a spoon and you push it onto the pasta and it makes like a little like cup, like a pasta cup. And they would do this and meatballs. And that was the two things. So just hearing you talk about that made me think of that and going to that as a kid too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, really cool, dude. I love that. I love that you're honoring that in a comic book. That special thing you have with your dad and this meatball recipe.
Yeah,
and I almost want, so I have to get it now just so I can compare the two.
Well, thank you. It was really cool to at first I was worried that if I told my dad, I didn't tell him at first that there was going to be a comic book, and I was going to, not that he's super protective of his recipe, like he's a little bit. That was, but I thought he might be a little upset. because I didn't really tell him what I was going to do. And then I showed him the comic book, and he was like very emotional that he was now a comic book character. Like, I mean, it was really cool to see.
It is cool, man. Wow, that's awesome.
That's really cool.
That's priceless, man. That's really cool that you did that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
It is really cool, dude. I like that a lot.
He's immortalized in the book.
Yeah, exactly.
Outlive all of us.
Yeah. Any other thing you want to promote while you're here, Jimmy? Like socials or anything like that? Or
I mean, you can find me at Jimmy Gaspero on Blue Sky. The Cryptid Creator Corner is the podcast. If you want to check out the podcast, that'd be great. But yeah, Made in Delco, it'll be on Kickstarter throughout all of April. We recently got a golden retriever. If anybody likes golden retriever content, you can follow Barry Barkington on TikTok.
Yes, nice,
awesome. But that's about
a thing to do now, right? When
Yeah.
you get a pet, you like got to make a TikTok account or an Instagram or something.
So
you never know if your pet's going to be the next superstar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you never
Yeah, we
know.
don't.
You know,
My wife keeps making TikToks with Barry, and so one of these Barry Barkington TikToks are going to take off.
Nice.
I like it. That's great. Well, Jimmy, it was nice meeting you, man. And we're gonna start to wrap up now. But yeah, it was really nice meeting you, and I'm glad you came on the show. And the book looks great, so I wish you the best of luck. And you already hit the goal, so 23 more days. Let's keep up that momentum. 3,000. Let's get
let's get this book expanded with that extra story. So let's push it. Let's push it past that limit.
Very much. I really appreciate all of your time and attention. Harry, thanks for reading all the stories. I really appreciate it. Johnny, it's so good to kind of talk virtually in person. And Keith, I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah,
this has been wonderful.
Man. Glad to have met you.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy day as well, man. We appreciate you coming on for sure.
No, this has been wonderful. I really appreciate it. So,
and then when the book comes out next year, we'll have you back.
Please,
I would love that. So I will be definitely hitting up you guys again for when that comes around next year. So
awesome. Sounds great.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right, Jimmy. Have a good one.
Take care, man.
See you later. All right. Bye. Yeah. So he's
so awesome.
Dude.
Yeah, that was
really
great.
Good. I love the whole meatball thing.
Well, when it becomes super personal and it dives into culture and things like that, like I didn't want to get too Italian on everybody, but then when we started talking about sauce, I had to. I had to go down that road.
I want to find out. It made me want to now find out where my family originated.
You should do a
from.
thing. You should do like a what do you call that? What's that thing that
23andMe? Or...
Yeah, right. And find out.
23andMe is actually going bankrupt. So
yeah,
you
that's what
want
I
to
heard.
avoid
Yeah.
them. They're going to sell all their users' personal DNA data. So when you're, in 40 years, when you're walking around and all of a sudden you see a clone of yourself from 20 years ago,
right? That's why.
Yeah, I'll just get it from the horse's mouth.
There you go. Just talk to your mom and go, hey, where were we at in the old country?
Yeah, right.
Well, so that's the other thing
too. Sorry, go on here.
No, we have to go on a European trip and find out. We'll retrace your
Euro trip.
Euro trip, right? Pack your bags.
That's one of the fun things about when I look into some of the Italian history and culture and things. Is just lore, right? The same way we have folklore, cryptids, things like that. They have their set of stuff that we're not even privy to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's
it comes out in some comics. Like, have you ever read Sync? It's put out by Comics Tribe. You know Comics Tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a book called Sync, and it's written by John Lees, who does like it's a book that's like uses a lot of like those kind of stories, the lore from like London and the UK and stuff like that. Like I think even remember Dave that did Tinseltown has a book called the Teenage Vampire Squad or something.
Yeah.
And it deals with the Gorbals vampire, which is I guess is a big folklore over there.
Yeah.
And I think cool. Sync tackled that story as well. So that seems like that'd be a big one over there. But I too am interested in that kind of stuff. I love to hear the lore that they have and the weird stuff, you know.
So Benevento, which is a city that's near my mom's village, is known to be, or is said to have witches. The same way people said Salem has witches, right?
Mhm.
And they would say that they would congregate and they would like rub this liquor all over themselves, and then they would go fly around Benevento on their brooms. And that liquor, they said, is called Strega, which you can buy Strega in stores, and it's from that lore. And it's like this kind of like bitter yellow liquor, but it's got, Strega in Italian means witch. So there you go.
Cool.
Amy says, and I don't know how she knows this, but she says my mom's side is from the Trentino Alto region.
Which to that point maybe makes sense because you're blue-eyed. So that would probably be from northern Italy versus like a southern Italy, which would be like more of like a darker skin, brown eye. You know what I mean? And you just have to think about regionally on the map of how, Italy was populated and how like the Romans were like the predominant society in that regard, and the one before that was the Egyptians. So you have to think of the way that part of the world evolved. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Wild shit. It's we're way too late into the show to get this heady.
She says my mom has a coffee table book one of my uncles made. Oh yeah,
cool.
That's right. Yeah, I don't think I ever
You
looked
should
at
dive
that,
into that.
I gotta do
mine
that.
it for some family history. You never know what you might uncover.
Yeah,
it's basically somebody that looks like Keith with a giant mustache, like a big. Oh my god! It's great.
Yeah, he's like over there going, "Hey,
what's the matter for you, huh?"
Yeah, right. Awesome. Well, did you gents have anything to shout out this week before we wrap things up?
The only thing I want to share with everybody is that I will be at C2E2 in Chicago this weekend. And I will be in Artist Alley with my good friend, my good pal, Jeff Ryder. We are at table K12. But nice. The beautiful thing is that we're actually in a row of creators that we all know each other. So we're going to have like 3 tables of different friends of mine all together. So it's going to be Jimmy Kutsai, Paul Axel, Jeff Ryder, myself, and I believe it's going to be Marika and her husband Keith Gleason, who are going to have the other table. So we'll have a big thing of stuff going on. And my
when do you leave for that? Thursday?
I leave for Thursday morning, and I don't care how much money I make at the show. I just want to see people. That's my biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the second biggest thing I want to do is I want to hand full issue 1 script of the Surrounded by Death spinoff in Keith Gleason's hands. So that way,
nice. So are you done with it? You done with it?
I'm done with an issue 1.
Oh, sweet, dude. I didn't know you were even done with the script. That's great.
Yeah, I will. So I've got my full outline done, and I'm still refining the outline as I go a little bit because I'm making discoveries along the way.
Yeah.
But I've got a pretty solid issue 1 down pat with a pretty well-rounded set of characters.
Awesome.
That I'm excited about. So can't wait to get it going. And
I look forward to hearing more about this. And that's the artist you're going to use for the book.
Yep. So if you backed Surrounded by Death on Kickstarter and you got the edition that had the little like epilogue, the little volume at the end,
the one artwork that I lettered,
the one that you lettered, Keith, that artist is going to be my spin-off artist.
Oh, he's really good.
Issues. Yeah,
he's
Keith
really
is
good.
great. So I asked Keith, I go, look, man, if you can do it consistently, I want to work together and I want to get this done. So he committed to me 2 years ago, and I just haven't been able to get everything together. I finally have everything together. He's still on board.
Him up or anything?
Nope, he's still on board. I communicated with him recently. He's still on board. He's ready to go. So, I'm excited to get things going.
Dude, awesome. I love hearing that, dude.
Yep.
Cannot wait to see do you have the title for the spinoff yet?
I don't know if I should say it yet.
Okay. Yeah, keep it.
But I'll give you issue 1 before. When the issue 1's finally done, when I'm ready to print it out, I'll send you a copy so you can read it, Keith.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
And you, Harry, if you want.
Right. Oh, good. I was going to ask you.
Yeah. I just figured you wouldn't care, but I'll send it to you anyway.
No, of course I care. I mean, I want to, celebrate.
I figured you'd want a finished product, not just the script. That's why.
Yeah.
No, whatever. I like to read.
All right.
I should read more.
I'll send you the script, Harry.
I like reading the script too, and then seeing that, try to visualize it, and then see after how the comic comes out. So it's great.
Yep. And one more thing actually to shout out is, since we're not going to be on air next Monday,
Wicked. Yeah, we'll be
both
at Wicked,
right? Comic-Con.
Yeah, the following
in Boston,
Saturday, which is what, the 19th?
Free attendance.
Yeah.
Free attendance. So if you're looking for something to do, you can just roll up to that show and walk right in and have a good time and enjoy.
It's gonna be nuts, dude.
It's gonna be
great.
Nuts. I can't imagine why people wouldn't want to go to a free Comic-Con in Boston.
And there's some pretty decent guests there besides us Trulies here.
Yeah.
You know, some decent comic people, decent locals, you know. Yeah, I can't wait. That should be a good show. One thing I wanted to shout out. Yeah, you gonna go? Okay, it's free admission. I don't think there's no celebrities there, so it's just comic.
Not that I'm always looking for celebrities. I mean,
but it's like it's more just a comic show. But you know, free admission if you want to go. What was I gonna say? I wanted to shout out too that if everything goes well, I'll be sending Mighty Mascots 10 to the printer hopefully this week.
Nice.
So, cool. Yeah, just gonna do some final checks and stuff. And another cool thing that just popped up that I'll probably be shouting out this week on Twitter is DC Miller, who did the animated story and the backup story.
Mm-hmm.
He did like 5 sketch cards that he just sent to me of the Mighty Mascots to do with what I want. And I think I'm gonna randomly give them away to the backers, like just try to do like a random number generator or something. And they came out freaking fantastic. I don't have them in front of me.
I was gonna say, do you have it handy? No.
I could go get them if you guys want to wait, but I could show them to you if you want. All right, hang on.
Grab
I'll
them?
be right. Yeah,
Harry, you're on.
Oh Jesus! Like on the spot here.
Well, I was just gonna say, while Keith's running to do that, do you have anything to shout out, Harry?
Not really. I mean, I just do my, I'm hoping to get busier with, side work, now that things are slowing down a little bit and it's like good weather. I mean, you wouldn't know it by today. It's snow today, of course, snowing in April 7th, but, stupid groundhog is wrong. That dirty rat.
Actually, he was right, because did he say there was?
Yeah, it was 6 weeks, not 7 or 8.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're now getting into the extended version.
I know, really. But yeah, I mean, I did a logo a couple weeks ago, and I'm hoping for more. But I do want to get a new computer still, because I've had my laptop for 15 years. It's it's a Mac, and they don't really supposed to last that long, like maybe like 9 years top, but.
I don't want to jinx myself. The system that I'm broadcasting from right now, I purchased in 2011.
Oh my God. Yeah. So,
and it's older than that. I purchased it in 2011.
Oh man.
So, I mean, like, I'm worried this thing's going to go out at any given minute, but I feel you in that regard. And the other thing is that this thing, it can't upgrade to Windows 11, and they're going to sunset Windows 10 in October. So I absolutely have to migrate.
I know. Yeah.
So, all right. Sorry about that, Keith.
No, it's all right. Yeah, nice. I like that. I'll make myself big here so everyone can see them. But here's the first
cool
one.
Awesome.
This is the Dole Lord that he designed. The villain of the backup story. Then we got Brewster.
Oh, very nice.
Mondo. Yeah, I love how he draws him. He looks like you look like a whiny little kid you want to smack.
He looks like an alien Stewie almost.
He does. He looks like a pouty little alien kid.
Like he's got that expression on his face,
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
That's cool. Legs. I like that.
Horatio looks
He's
great.
really good. And then Boxer too. Boxer came out awesome.
Oh, that one's my favorite. Look at that.
Isn't that great?
But all these could be like little temporary tattoos too. Yeah, you get them in the
I know.
back in the day.
I secretly want to keep all of them, but like I was just like, no, I should give these out and try to drum up some last minute business before I go to press too.
Well, at least scan them and have them somehow.
Yeah,
preserve them.
Yeah. I'll have to at least take pictures or something, or maybe a nice scan just so I have it.
Yep.
But he just surprised me with them. The guy's awesome. Like,
keep really the originals and scan and print trading cards.
Yeah, do
send the reprints to them. And
why not?
I guess you could. I don't know. I feel like it would be just a nice thing to give back. I guess So maybe I'll do it to like people that order the toys, because those were so expensive that maybe I'll limit it to like the people that order the toys or something, give them something extra and just put it in a random generator and just the number that comes up is the person that gets it. Yeah, exactly. But so that's a big thing with me. And then hopefully I'll be finished my second pass through the Kid Switch #2 script this week as well.
And I'll actually have some notes for you too, hopefully after.
Oh yeah, you said you might read it on the plane trip.
Well, that's my goal, is just like, so I've been a little bit compounded and getting issue 1 of this other project done.
Yeah.
That I didn't get a chance to get around to looking at it, but now that I'm going to be traveling, and with traveling, there's always a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yeah, right.
So what better thing to do in that wait time than to just read?
Did I send you the PDF for #1 as well, like the issue?
I think it was on Global Comics, right?
Yeah, but I don't. Oh, yeah, I have
the subscription. Yeah, so I could read it there. I just wanted to refresh before I read the other stuff. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. And
my physical copies packed away somewhere.
Nice. Yeah, I can't wait for you to read. Like, I want you to read the script for like 3 especially, and like let me know what you think of that, because that's like the big origin issue. And when I was reading it again, I forgot half the stuff that I had created for it, and as I was reading it, I was like, this isn't bad, like I was just kind of going through and I liking certain things, and some things I might take out, but like overall it's pretty good.
There's nothing like an okay idea that could spawn a great idea.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
So
that reminds me.
Know. What's that?
That reminds me of like Howard Stern's story of Steven Seagal, who like read the best script ever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was like, I just read the best script ever.
Who wrote it?
Mine.
Yeah, right. I wrote
it. That's so great. But all right. Well, with that, let's put a wrap in this one. We're off next week, and we're back to our normal schedule. Also, exciting news: we're putting together another writer roundtable show coming up in May. Hopefully, at some point, gathering all the people. Now it's going to be more of a fun writer roundtable this time around. Probably have about 5 people, 4 or 5 for sure. So, we're working on that, so that'll be a nice treat if you guys join us that night live. And Johnny's working on a little game that we'll be playing during that same episode, and I got some fun questions. It's going to be more fun questions on writing and like comics and stuff, rather than more serious like we did last time. So we always want to make these roundtable episodes kind of fun, but that was like a really good one that we had a long time ago, and it's like, I want to make it sort of an annual thing if we can, I think that'd be great. Mm-hmm. But yeah, besides that, come see me and Johnny at Wicked in 2 weeks, and I'm sure we're going to be at many more conventions this year. So you'll have a chance
come see me at
us all.
C2E2 this weekend, K12 and Artist Alley with Jeff Ryder.
Awesome. Yeah, I got to get to that show again at some point, but good luck. I think you won't need it. You guys will probably kill it out there. So
hopefully, but like I said, my goal is just to see people and put a script in somebody's hands. That's it.
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
As long as I do those two things, I'll be happy.
Nice.
And
you
survive.
bringing any coffee? Bringing any
No.
coffee? No.
Nope.
Just comics.
Basic, like the one of the most minimal amounts of books I've ever gonna bring. Just minimal. I want to make it simple. I'm not worried about selling. I'm worried about just being there.
Just a long trench coat with the comics inside the.
Yeah. I don't even need the table. I'll just stand in a corner somewhere. Look at this.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, we're going to wrap this one up. Thank you for joining us as always. Like, subscribe, share the video, and join us every other Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, sometimes 8. If we have a full guest list like we did tonight, we might do an hour earlier, but we'll keep you posted when we do that. And most importantly, everybody, read some comics. All right. We'll talk to you later. Have a great week and goodbye.